everybody. How are you? It's the best in true crime podcasting, True Crime Tuesday. I got to tell you, I've been talking with our guest off air and having probably a better time than we'll have here on air. I mean, I'm just speculating. It is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. We're going to go a different direction today, but it's my pleasure to do that. I'm sitting here talking with someone I've been wanting to talk with for a very long time. He has had quite a few accomplishments in his day, and I want to tell you a little bit about it. Tod Goldberg is our guest today. We're going to dive a little bit into crime fiction. He's a New York Times bestselling author of over a dozen books, including The Low Desert, which we'll be talking about today, Gangsterland, which is a finalist for the Hammett Prize, Gangster Nation, The House of Secrets, which he co-authored with one of my favorite authors. Not that Todd isn't, but Brad Meltzer is who I'm speaking about there. Living Dead Girl, a finalist for the Los Angeles Times Book Prize, and the popular Burn Notice series, which I'm sure you might have caught that on USA as well. Three-time finalist for the Scribe Award. His books have been published in a dozen languages and around the world, and twice named a finalist for the VN International Thriller of the Year Award. His short fiction has been collected in 3 volumes, Simplify, which won the Other Voices Book Prize and was a finalist for the SCBA Award. Other resort cities in his latest book, The Low Desert Gangster Stories, which we're going to talk about today, and has been widely anthologized, including in Best American Mystery and Suspense. His nonfiction has appeared in numerous publications, including the Los Angeles Times, USA Today, and the Wall Street Journal, among countless others, and has earned 5 Nevada Press Association Awards for excellence, while his essay, When They Let Him Bleed, was selected for Best American Essays. For his body of work, Tod was honored with the Silver Pen Award from the Nevada Writers Hall of Fame. In addition to his work on the page, Tod is also the co-host of the podcast Literary Disco, along with Julia Pistel and Ryder Strong, which has been named a top podcast by the Washington Post, The Guardian, Mashable, and even Good Housekeeping. Tod holds an MFA in Creative Writing and Literature from Bennington College and is a professor of creative writing at the University of California, Riverside, where he founded and directs the low residency MFA program in creative writing and writing for the performing arts. He lives in California with his wife, Wendy. Let's welcome to True Crime Tuesday, Tod Goldberg. Tod, I would ask, how are you doing? But we've been talking for quite a while off air. I think you're doing all right by now.
Doing fine. And after hearing my own bio, I'm a lot more impressive than I thought I was. I have done a lot. I don't know when I sleep, when I eat, or defecate. It seems like I'm very, very busy.
I got to think you have a station where you do all that. Just
a little spot where I get all that done all at one time.
Yeah, you just gotta, and then you write at the same spot.
I'm going to need more hands, Tim.
That's for sure. That's for sure. Man, you're a busy guy.
This is the thing is I've got a lot of interests, and I've never been able to exactly just say, well, I'm just not going to do this thing I'm interested in. I'm going to do everything that I'm interested in. So, I love to write, obviously. I love to teach. And, I've been running this extraordinarily successful podcast for a decade. And it just seems like, you always have time for the things that you really want to do. And I've managed to do that by also being a fan of losing sports teams. So as soon as the playoffs start, I have a lot more free time in my life.
Man, you and I, brother, we have something in common. Losing sports teams. Let's talk about that for a minute. You are wearing an Oakland A's hat.
I am indeed.
Our fans and listeners can't see this right now, but I'm a Minnesota Twins fan. So you and I, we have something in common. It's a one and done world that we live in.
Yeah, well, I mean, this season, every morning I wake up, and if I haven't seen the low lights of the night before on ESPN, I open up the newspaper and I see, well, did someone get a hit? Okay, someone got a hit. It's not a total loss for the Oakland A's this year. But, the nice thing about being an A's fan is that you always have the hope, because they'll either win 100 games or lose 100 games. And so you can always feel like, well, next year they'll probably be pretty good. but I'm not entirely certain it's going to take less than 7 years to crawl out of where they are right now. The Twins will be fine. Twins will be back.
Well, no.
Kent Herbeck will be reincarnated. Dead. They'll let him play first base again.
You know,
and the Twinkies will be back.
Twins are in first place, I think, by like 2 games right now. But here's the deal. And I know it's not baseball talk with Todd and Tim, but okay, so we got Correa in free agency. For some reason, God smiled on us this year. But then Correa just a couple days ago declared himself out in free agency next year. He pulled his option. So in other words, he said, I love Minnesota. You can go to hell.
Right.
Yeah. So that's
going to result in the Twins losing 12 of 16 at some point really soon.
Right. Yeah. So and we've got Mr. Glass, Byron Buxton, who for some reason he hits like 2 game-winning home runs, walk-off home runs in 2 days, and he's saying to us, he's teasing us right now. He's saying, you know what? I'm Superman until I accidentally slide into second and break an imaginary knee.
Right. Well, see, this is the thing. Like you're well versed in the knowledge of coming tragedy. So It doesn't matter how good things are. You're always ready for the moment where it just turns south. And this is a conversation I often have with my wife. I'll be watching the A's and I'll be stomping around the house. I'll be upset. And my wife will be like, well, you knew this was going to happen because you've been a fan for 50 years.
Oh, yeah.
And do you think that when you get a bad review in Kirkus that, the Oakland A's are upset for you? And I'm like, well, number one, I haven't gotten a bad review in Kirkus in about 15 years.
Right.
But number two, no, I don't believe that.
But see, it's this right here, Todd. It's this expectation of doom and gloom that I believe makes you a superior writer.
You might be correct. See, here's the thing. Like you have to always assume that that's not a cat, that's a saber-toothed tiger. Which is that's the essence of anxiety, right? Like that's not a cat, that's a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
And so presuming the worst thing, I think, prepares you for a good life as a crime writer, because you're always expecting the worst case scenario. And then you're mildly surprised when something good actually happens to you.
That's exactly what it is. And you know the art of the twist and the turn. You know exactly.
That is true.
You know exactly how life ebbs and flows. And you know exactly how something could just come up and wham, hit you right in the head from behind and kill you.
Yeah, that is correct.
Yep.
And, it's helpful in the regard of me sitting here at my desk and writing. It's not always so helpful when I'm at Trader Joe's and is still in my head,
Yeah.
Like I'll go shopping for some hummus and I'll be a hitman in my head, and I'll come around a corner and someone will grab the last of the turkey bolognese from the frozen section.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to dig your eyes out and pour that bolognese inside your empty skull. Well, that's not behavior that is rational inside of a Trader Joe's.
But it's
I have to really scale that back.
It is so brilliant, though, my friend. Oh, my gosh. Wow. See, that's what makes you an award winner right there.
Yeah, that's it. That's what they look for in the awards.
That's right. They go,
bolognese in the skull.
They're writing furiously and going, turkey bolognese in the eye sockets. Damn it. Damn it. It's Shakespearean.
Oh, goodness. But I mean, I think you're right, though. I think all the crime writers that I know, and I know an awful lot, just in my family even, have a real sense of like being able to predict the worst way something could possibly go. Mm-hmm. And so like if I'm with my brother Lee, who is also a New York Times bestselling crime writer, and we're just driving somewhere and we get stuck in traffic, it'd be like, there's probably an overturned big rig. There's a fire. It's set fire to the mountain. We'll be here for 7 hours. Did you bring water? I'm like, Lee, I can see that it opens up like half a mile up. Well, okay.
So he's got it down too.
We're all the same. The whole family is destroyed.
It's an emotional cauldron is what it is.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah,
that's exactly it.
Wow. Well, I guess I know now the the formula to success when somebody says, well, Tim, do you have an idea? And I don't. I haven't written anything. But what's the secret to success, to being a successful crime novelist? I guess you've got it. You know, it's just family trauma.
Yes. Well, someone asked me the other day on Twitter, they said, oh, I'm a fan of you and your brother. You're both so funny and your books are so good. What is it that made you this way? And I was like, trauma. 70s crime shows and Swanson's chicken, frozen chicken. If you ate that like from like 1976 to 83, that changed your RNA.
It did. Was it the tinfoil?
It was the tinfoil.
Was it?
It was the tinfoil. Anytime you eat an entire meal that is reheated in tinfoil, and one of those things is a dessert that you're digging out with the tinfoil.
Oh yeah, the cobbler. Yeah,
like, look, people are going crazy. Like, I don't know what's in the vaccines. I don't want to take the vaccine. Homeboy, you ate Swanson's TV dinners growing up.
That's right.
You ate that.
You
don't know what you're putting in your body now? I got news for you. You didn't know what you're putting in your body then.
You never did know what the coating was on that chicken either.
No. No, you never knew. Yeah. Or what the dessert was. You just knew it was delicious.
That's true. It wasn't true fruit cobbler.
No, it was never a true fruit cobbler or a chocolate cake or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was weird. And then the edges were so hard that you could have redone the driveway with it. Yeah.
If you had a little bit of caulking, you could have done anything with that food.
That's right. But so good. And somehow it kept us alive. God love them.
Yeah, like the notion of eating the Swanson's chicken dinners now, I'm 51. Like, if you put that in front of me, I'd just be like, I'm fine. I'm just going to brush my teeth and go to bed. Also, weed's legal here in California, so.
Well, we had a recent interesting update in Minnesota, and it's law, so it's pertinent here on True Crime Tuesday. We had a Republican lawmaker who didn't realize what he was signing, and all of a sudden, edibles are legal here in Minnesota.
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, thank you. So that'll happen here soon. Edibles above. I believe it's above 5% THC.
This is going to get the replacements back together.
It is, yes. The replacements are coming back together thanks to that Republican lawmaker.
Tommy will move back to Minnesota and the band is back together.
That's right. I salute him. A lot of good Minnesota acts are now coming back to Minnesota thanks to that law.
Yeah, I think Husker Du is going to be back in town and ready to go.
Yep. God love him.
Actually, Bob Mould lives in my town now.
Yeah, he's no longer a Minnesotan. Yeah.
No longer. Yeah, he lives here in Palm Springs.
Yep.
And I've not yet run into him, which is probably good for Bob, because if I see him, I will burst into tears.
Oh, I'm sure he'll appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Do you want like some middle-aged dude running up to you in tears? Oh, warehouse, candy apple gray. I mean, I'm sure I wouldn't be the first person to do it, but nevertheless. These guys just like, I meant Ralph's, man. Get a hold of yourself.
You'd just be the first one without a Minnesota accent. Normally it's like, oh, gosh, there, hey, Yeah, normally that's how it sounds. So he wouldn't be used to it without the accent, but yeah.
Right. Well, I'll let you guys know. If I run into Bob here at home, I will get back on True Crime Tuesdays and let you know whether or not I assaulted him.
Please do. Yeah. We'd like to know how he's doing.
Yes, I will let you know.
We're afraid
you apprised.
We're afraid that he's a court low on lutefisk, so we we want to make sure he's okay.
I'll find out.
Please do. Gosh, I suppose we should deal a little bit of business here. I have so much fun with you, Todd. You're such a cool guy. We were talking Motley Crue before the show and Vince Neil. That's a crime topic we could talk about too, but I suppose we shouldn't.
Rock stars who kill?
No, just the fact that they're back on tour. And the fact that they haven't. Have you followed that whole deal? The fact that the fake lead singer, what's his name again?
Of Motley Crue?
Yeah, the one that sub for him on the. You remember the album with the pigs on the cover?
Oh yeah, they had that one album where the other guy came in.
Yeah,
was it like John Corabi or something like that?
Yes, John Corabi. So they keep saying there's like a change.org petition out there to put him in instead of Vince Neil, and they keep doing interviews with him, and he's like, "I'd jump in a minute." I'm like, "Oh, sure you would. You don't have anything better to do."
Yeah, you don't have any more shifts at Kinko's.
That's right. So, but yeah, leave Vince Neil alone. Just let him jump around. Doesn't matter what kind of shape he's in. Let him sing.
Look, every 60-year-old needs one last job so they can collect on their retirement. Let this be Vince's.
Just let Vince Neil huff and puff and blow his songs out.
His life's an open book for the whole world to read.
That's right. Oh, gosh. So I want to talk a little bit about the Low Desert. Tod, sure. Let me tell you. Okay, so the reason I wanted to have you on the show is, my man, this book is impressive.
Thank you.
You want to talk about a study in characters and a study of people who are on that edge and people who have a decision to make, whether they're going to go one way or another. Mm-hmm. And without spoiling too much about the book, there's different chapters and different, and the way I'm stuttering here. The way the book breaks down, it breaks down into different stories. Can you explain to people a little bit about the Low Desert and how just that works out, and explain to people what I'm stuttering through and what I'm trying to explain?
I can help you through all of this.
Okay.
So the Low Desert is a series of stories that can be read individually or collectively. It is a story collection that is interconnected, but you don't always know what the connections are until you get done with the story. There are sometimes you'll be reading a story and a character from another story will just sort of walk in the background of it. Mm-hmm. And then there's stories in the book where you're realizing, a secret from a previous story is being explicated in this story. So there's a lot of that going on. But that being said, you can just read it straight through and it would be fine.
Yep.
Or you could jump around and be fine. But it's better if you read it straight through. If you read it straight through, things get revealed. Mm-hmm. And then it's also part of a larger universe that comes from my series of novels called Gangsterland, which is about a Chicago hitman named Sal Cupertine who kills the wrong people and is forced to hide out in Las Vegas as a rabbi, though he is not Jewish and is not a rabbi. And so that novel, Gangsterland, came out in 2014. Its sequel, Gangster Nation, came out in 2017. This book came out last year, and the paperback is just out now. And then the concluding book in the trilogy will be out next summer. But all of it is this sort of large universe of organized crime that I've created, where there are minor characters from the Gangsterland books who appear in the Low Desert. So I'm stealing from myself, populating this world with all these other characters that I really haven't had time to focus on in these novels, which sounds weird because the novels are all like 500 pages long. But the Low Desert also is me spreading my wings a little bit, preparing to write some other things, exploring some story ideas for some TV that I'm working on. It's a little bit of everything, all in one thing. But at its base, if you go to the bookstore tomorrow and pick it up, it is a short story collection. Mm-hmm. And it reads straight through as a short story collection. I recommend going from page 1 to page 300 because that way you get some real huge secrets revealed about characters along the way. But you can look, I'm not going to tell you what to do in your own bathroom. That's
a great little plaque you could make for people at home. I'm not going to tell you what to do in your own bathroom. Right. No, and I recommend you read it like that as well, because what's interesting, if you do read it like that, and most people do read it from front to back cover, but by reading it like that, it's interesting how the ebb and flow of stories happen and how the richness of characters happen, because you get a different telling of character and a different texture of character. And I'll give you an example for the audience. You may have a character who may be somewhat homicidal, and then you focus on a totally different character who has just got an ordinary life, who wishes they would have done something different. And then you go to a different character who has a different richness on the tapestry of life, put it that way. So you go from different characteristics, You're jumping around, but then it all gets tied together in a nice little neat package, which is so nice. But the way you do it, to give our audience an idea, like you had said, it's these short stories are tied up very neatly in a bow, but like you said, there's a running concurrent thread in the background.
Right.
And
which was hard to do, by the way, because
it's very hard to do.
Because the stories, I didn't know what order we were going to put them in when the book was done. And I didn't write them in the order in which you're seeing them either. Some stories are really, really old. Some are brand new. Some I wrote 5 years ago. Some I wrote 10 years ago. Some I wrote, a year and a half ago. But that thread was always in there because I knew in my mind that I was building this universe. But they're all, every single person that is in these stories is a victim, but not in the, like, I've been victimized sense, is a victim of crime. Mm-hmm. Like, their existence is because a crime was committed somewhere.
Okay.
So, what I'm doing is, there's a short story that takes place in 1973 called Despair. And it's a short story about some Chicago gangsters. And the death of this one man, this guy named Dark Billy Cupertine, he ends up dying in a horrible way. But his death essentially starts in motion every other story that is in this book. Because he died, these things are all happening. And you're not really aware of any of that until you get to the very end of the story. And then even when you see stories that take place in the past, there's some stories at the Salton Sea before this guy's death, you realize, this is part of a criminal organization operating in Chicago that's going to result in his demise. All these things are happening at one time, but that's how life works. I like to look at crime not as a singular event. Like, no one commits a crime one day out of nothing. Something has prompted them to get there. Their bad childhood, their drug addiction, their need for money, the abuse that they suffered, whatever it might be, ultimately ends up with that person deciding one day, hey, you know what, I'm going to go rob a Baskin Robbins. Like, you don't just wake up one morning with a degree from Harvard and you're like, I'm robbing Baskin Robbins today.
True.
Everything in my life is great. I'm going to rob a Baskin Robbins. Like, that just doesn't happen.
Right.
And we know those steps to get those people to those places, and yet we're powerless to stop them in most cases. So I really wanted to write a short story collection that examined the ripples from a pebble being thrown and what happens when they finally hit the shore, over and over and over again. But I also wanted to treat criminality and violence in a realistic way, so that it wasn't like an episode of Star Trek where someone gets shot and they just disappear. Like, no, you get shot, you live for a while, your wife and your kid are never the same. Your mom is messed up for the rest of her life. Everyone that's ever known you is messed up by your death. Those are things I want to examine, not the sort of cartoon notion of violence I think we too often experience.
I was going to comment about that too, Todd, that there's a resonance to each story too. Nothing is left clean.
Right.
And I think a lot of times we, as an audience, when we read a book, we think to ourselves, well, why isn't this more tidy? Because we watch product on TV and you watch Law and Order and everything's wrapped up in 60 minutes. Or even Burn Notice. Things are wrapped up in 60 minutes. We watch a movie in 2 hours time. Things are wrapped up and everything's tidy. But when we read a true crime novel or even a fictional book, we go, well, wait a minute. This isn't as clean as I would have liked it. Why can't the author do this? Why can't the author do that? Why can't things be moved around to make it more clean? But life is not clean.
Yeah, it really isn't. I mean, it's so funny. I think during the height of the pandemic, when most of the people were staying at home all the time, you saw this rise, as in true crime. Mm-hmm. Like, people love to read true crime, and all those true crime podcasts and television shows became extraordinarily popular.
Yes,
because what true crime the typical shows do, and most podcasts is they solve the crime.
Right.
Or you find out who done it, right? That's very satisfying when the world feels like it's chaos.
Yep.
It's like I'm out of control of everything. Nothing makes sense. I'm scared of going outside. And then you watch true crime or you read a crime novel. And at the end of that time, the killer has been caught, the girl has been found, the money has been saved, whatever it might be. And there's order to the universe again. That's very attractive.
Oh, yeah.
Order to chaos is very attractive when everything else feels like you're at sea. But it's not typically true.
Right.
The reason that they make TV shows and podcasts and movies and books about crime is because most of the time people get away with it. Yeah. Most of the time it actually works. And that's why there's so many ideas that are out there that people are writing about, because it's beyond the capability of law enforcement to do its job.
There are a few stories in this book where, I guess for lack of a better term, people walk away and can we say get away with it? Is that a good way of putting it? They get away with it. Life goes on and you go, well, pardon my language. You go, what the shit? Well, how did that happen? What? And you just kind of go, okay. But you wish that something would happen a little bit more, or that person would have been a little more forceful about it. There's one story in particular. I don't want to blow anything in the book, but I'll just say that at the time I was reading it, it's early in the book. There's the security officer there's a story about
the title story, Low Desert.
Yeah. Where
about the Salton Sea in the 1960s.
Yes, in the 1960s, where they find the young boy in the ocean, and they find the clue where there's the concertina wire around his ankle.
Right.
That obviously he's been murdered, and the security officer had met the boy and a woman the night before, and it turns out that it's is it the CEO of the company?
Essentially, it's the CEO's. It ends up being the CEO's mistress and child.
Yes, but she introduces herself as his wife.
Right.
So he mistakenly makes a phone call, where he actually gets a hold of his real wife, but has to make a quick cover, and does successfully cover, and. But I won't give everything away. But sits down with the boss and says, rather than jeopardize his own job, says, well, wait a minute. He was in Korea. He had served in Korea. He had killed plenty of people. And like you put in the book, behind this character, it wasn't like he necessarily hated killing. In fact, he rather enjoyed it.
Right.
And he says to the boss says, well, I've been put in a bad position here. You don't understand. The people that you found me with, he goes up to this apartment to confront the boss and say, listen, I think I know who killed this kid, and I think you kind of have something to do with it. If I'm describing this accurately.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
And the boss says, well, it wasn't me, but it's these people who are surrounding me that you saw me with at my apartment. But I'm in a bad spot here. There's nothing that can be done. Just walk away. When he refuses to walk away, he says, listen, you're fired. You're done. I'll give you 6 months. Or at first it was 2 months severance and then 6 months severance. He says, no. I'm not done. I'm not fired. In fact, I can help get you out of this situation. The Liam Neeson, I have a special set of skills type deal.
Right.
But it's left out there. At that point, you almost go, wait a minute. How is it that he doesn't, and he kind of tells his own wife, take yourself, go to the neighbors,
right.
keep yourself safe.
Well, he also says something else in that scene. So he confronts this guy. They're actually at a hotel, the Riviera Hotel, which is a real place, an old mob-owned hotel here in Palm Springs. And he confronts this guy and says, hey, look, I know that you have this problem and I can help you out of it. And the guy says, like, you don't know what these people are capable of. You don't know these people. And our main character, this guy, Morris Drew, says, I am those kinds of people.
Yeah.
And so you suddenly realize, like, oh, this guy who we thought was a good guy is not really a good guy. Right. He's just the best of a lot of horrible people all working together, and he doesn't want the death of a child on his sheet, basically.
Right.
And so he realizes, like, in order to save myself, I have to try to help someone. Well, I don't know if you've been watching the news lately, Tim. There's been a lot of people who are the worst people, but the best of a group of terrible people getting in front of people saying, wasn't me, but I know who did it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's been a very popular thing on the news about once a week, starting at 10 a.m. Western time. Look, bad people do bad things, but most people don't want to go to prison.
True.
And so invariably what you're going to find in any band of criminals is the one person who's like, I do shitty things, but I love my wife, or I love my child and I don't want to go to jail. And so I'm going to flip. And you see, like, there's a reason we know about the mob. Like, oh, omerta. Yeah, omerta means nothing. All these guys ever do is talk about themselves and talk about their crimes to anyone who will listen.
Right.
And there's no honor among thieves.
Right.
Someone's always going to flip. And so I'm fascinated, particularly in that story, The Low Desert, and I'm going to write more about that world and that character. Is that here you have a person who has found that they like to kill, and who gets a job that puts them in a position where they can do a little bit of casual violence every now and then. And what does that mean? What's that like? And the character is actually based on a former student of mine. I won't say his name, but he's a well-known writer as well. But he was a sniper in Iraq, and he came back and he was pretty messed up. And I said to him once, did Iraq make you worse, or did it bring out in you what you always wanted to be? And he was like, I went to Iraq because I wanted to kill.
Wow.
He's like, I wanted to kill. That's what I wanted to do. He's like, and then I did it. And he's like, and that changes you. He's like, what you think you want and then you do it is two entirely different things. And he was very successful at his work. But he came back to America, and like many people that had gone to that war had, profound PTSD and didn't know how to work in this world anymore, with a wife and a kid, and he lost them both. But, through many, many years of therapy and writing, he got his life together. But I will never forget him saying that, like, I wanted to kill. That's why I signed up. And I was like, I want to write about a guy who went to Korea because they wanted to do it. They wanted to kill. And what's that like when you then are handed an authority position stateside? You become a cop, or you become head of security at a large oil company, or whatever it might be. So I wanted to examine that within this larger realm of talking about organized crime, which I often do, because organized crime is theoretically a business model based on violence. It's the threat of violence that allows them to do the things that they do. Right. It allows them to be successful. But then you drop into an organized crime world, an actual killer, a sniper from Korea at the time versus Iraq, which is what I was basing him on. You drop that kind of guy into their world. What's that like? He's got a notion of justice. He's got a notion of loyalty to country and to a code. And you drop him into a world where there is no code and there is no loyalty. What's that like?
That mindset, just the idea that you start out wanting to kill and you get your heart's desire.
Yeah.
And like you had pointed out, you get it and it's something different, but yet you still got what you wanted. and you weren't turned off by it.
Right.
If anything, you were
it's like
turned
that
on
great
by
line in Red Harvest by Dashiell Hammett, where he says the what's his name? The Continental Op says there's two things about killing: either it makes you sick or you get to liking it.
Mm-hmm. That's just so fascinating. I mean, not fascinating in a wow, that's fascinating. I want to go down that road and just love it. It's fascinating in a car accident. I can't help but sit and watch it develop. Because I have to see every detail in almost in a study type way. I want to know because I need to know why that mindset develops, why someone would want to see a life snuffed out, not just once. To see a life snuffed out once is to say, I need to know
what that's like.
Yeah, what that's like.
Yeah.
To see it done over and over again is to say, what kind of thrill do you get out of seeing the most morbid experience?
Yeah, exactly. And look, this is how we've trained our military subsequent to the Second World War. There's a great book called On Killing by I have it on my shelf somewhere. I think it's by Dave Grossman, and it talks about how we train the military from the first wars that we have records of to present day, and we essentially didn't teach desensitization until the Vietnam War, and then subsequent to Vietnam, we teach desensitization of our military so that they can go out there and they can kill as many people as possible and hopefully come back just fine. Well, look, it doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
Spoiler, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But if you're not a sociopath, and this guy that I was talking about is not a sociopath because he's aware of these things and he feels these things, then it's going to affect you in a really adverse way. You might have some sort of purient, like mental health issue where you say, "Oh, I want to kill," and then you do it, and you're like, "Well, that was terrible. God, this is horrible. I don't want to do it again." But now you're in the military, and you're like, "Well, I guess I'm attacking Fallujah. What am I going to do?" I will tell you a funny story about this guy, though. So he got back, and this was in the mid 2000s, and he ended up being a bagman for a semi-legal weed shop in the Bay Area. This was before marijuana was completely legalized in California, but in the Bay Area, it was sort of a wink, wink, nod, nod type business. But he was a bagman for this weed shop, and after work one night, he decided to stop and get a drink. But he had his bag with him with all the money in it, but he just went and got a drink and walked out. And some guy tried to mug him. Oh. And my friend beats the crap out of him. And was like, and if you saw my friend, when we're done, Tim, I'll show you a photo.
Sure. Yeah.
If you saw my friend, you'd be like, that's the last guy on earth you'd ever mug.
Yeah.
And so my friend says to the guy who tried to mug him, like, what made you think I was the guy? Like, You ever see someone like me, don't ever try to mug them. Like, what were you thinking? Yeah. The guy's just like, look, man, I just need $20. And so my friend takes out his wallet, hands him $20. It was like, never, ever try to mug someone who looks like me. You're crazy.
See, that's a nice guy who's willing to teach you a lesson. That's a hell of a lesson to learn, though.
Yeah, and when I show you this guy, you'll see what I'm talking about. Like literally, he walks in the room and the ions change. You're like, well, we're leaving now. We're gonna go.
That's wow. That's that's an incredibly nice guy. But holy cow! I mean, to learn that lesson, you just. Yeah. I mean, you also have to be incredibly stupid to go up to a guy like that and
mug them.
Because if they're walking in with a bag of money, that's some balls, my friend. You just you just know that's not the guy to mess with. That's for sure.
I couldn't get away with that in a novel, but people make dumb decisions when they commit crimes, and this is the thing that I write about a lot. Is like most people who commit crimes aren't evil; they're drug addicts. Yeah. That's the basic thing. Is most of the time they're drug addicts. Yeah. But if you commit a crime, it's not because it's like your choice was commit a crime, or be a nuclear scientist. It's like, no, like, those weren't the two poles.
Right. Yeah. Nobel Peace Prize winner, commit a crime. It's the same thing.
There's typically like commit a violent crime.
Yeah.
There's typically like, you're not the smartest guy.
That's true. Let's take our break right here, Todd. When we come back, let's talk a little bit more about the low desert. And when we come back too, we'll get a little bit into some of Todd's earlier work, and we'll talk a little bit about Burn Notice and see a little bit about Burn Notice. And whether Todd talks at all about the TV show, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. We'll do that when we come back. You're listening to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. Welcome back to the best in true crime podcasting. This is True Crime Tuesday. I'm Tim Dennis. Our guest is Tod Goldberg. We're talking about the low desert. By the way, folks, we've got a link to the book in the description of this program. Todd, do you offer autographed copies of the book by chance?
If someone wants an autographed copy, the best place to go is a bookstore called Mystery Inc. INK. They have a big warehouse filled with signed copies of my books.
Okay, great. Do they also have like Gangsterland and other
They do.
copies?
They do. Mystery Inc. is this great little bookseller in Los Angeles, and they do all my events. So they always have a big stack of signed books that you can go and get from them. So they'll have Gangsterland, Gangster Nation, The Low Desert. They probably have some of the old stuff too signed. Those are more money. No, that's not true.
Those are like $500-600, but you can still get them.
I will say though, years ago when my mom was still alive, it's been harder for her to do these things since she died. This is when my second novel, Living Dead Girl, came out. Mm-hmm. It was a long time ago. This was 20 some odd years ago. She showed up at my house with a stack of copies of Living Dead Girl, and she was like, "Will you sign these?" And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." I was like, "Are these for friends of yours or something?" And she's like, "No, I sell them on eBay." And I was like, what? She's like, "Oh yeah, people get like $10 more, so I'm selling them on eBay." And I was like, "Mom, why are you selling my signed books on eBay?" She's like, "Well, I can make money doing that. Why wouldn't I?" I'm like, and I didn't completely have a good reason why, other than it was like gross and skeezy, like that I'm signing, like, why don't I get the money? Like, part of me was like, well, why don't I get paid?
Right.
And she's like, well, you do get paid because you're selling the books. And I'm like, but you're making 10. Oh, God. Like, my mom was a crazy person, so this is the least crazy thing she ever did. But she made a decent living off of me and my brother getting us to sign books, and she sold them online.
Oh, my God. You know what, Todd? It sounds like we're related. I think your mom and my mom are sisters. If my mom could find a way to make money off my stuff, she would.
Oh, yeah. Well, so my mom was, when I say she was crazy, I should, what I really mean was she was untreated bipolar her entire life. And she had a variety of illnesses. So she died, over 10 years ago from cancer. Mm-hmm. But she had a variety of mental illnesses over the years. But she was a writer and a journalist, and she wrote books about divorce because she'd done that a lot. But when she died and we were cleaning out her apartment, we found things like she had sent out scripts that she said she had co-written with my brother to agents, and short stories and book proposals that she said she'd co-written with me to agents and to editors and stuff. It just wasn't true.
Wow.
And, thank God no one ever bought one of them. And because that would have been an awkward conversation.
Yeah, it would have.
So she had some mental health issues for sure. But then also I think she did some of it intentionally. I think even if she was completely well, she would have done these things.
Well, now let me ask you, if one of them would have sold, do you think you would have been forced to take it up and do a redraft of it and have to add your own stuff to it? This is the sort of catch-22 conversation my brother and I have on, like,
when we do events together and there's a long drive, like, what would we have done if Mom had sold the script? And my brother's like, well, it would have meant it was good. So now we got to work on it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's the thing. It's your mom. You can't leave her out to hang, dude. You got to,
It's a question that I am thankful I've not had to answer in real time.
Yeah, I don't know. Also, a note for our listeners, on Amazon right now, or actually on Audible, if you've not had Audible or not tried Audible, if you do the Audible trial, you can get the Low Desert right now for free.
Oh, yeah, that's a good deal.
Yeah, so I don't mean to undercut your profit at all.
I don't think it does. I think when they give it away for free, I still get paid.
There you go. So if you've not done Audible at all, if you want to do their free trial, you can get the Low Desert right now, the Low Desert Gangster Stories. Look up Tod with 1D, Tod Goldberg, and do that Audible trial right now. You can check it out. The narrator on the Low Desert is Johnny Heller, I believe, right?
Yeah, he narrates all my books. He's great. I love him.
Yeah, so
he's got the perfect voice to do gangster fiction.
Yeah, great narrator. So check that out if you haven't done the Audible trial. That's a treat in itself, right there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So let me ask you a little bit about your back catalog and Burn Notice.
Sure.
And I don't know if you're going to cringe here or not. Were you a fan of the USA series? Did you?
Well, yeah, because the show came first. Okay. So I wrote the books after the first season. So the show is not based on the books. The books are based on the show.
Okay.
So yeah, the creator of the show, Matt Nix, is an old friend of mine. We knew each other when we were kids. And then when we were in college, we met again because he was roommates with my oldest and dearest friend that I had grown up with in Northern California, Todd Harris. And so Matt and I sort of followed each other's careers for years and years. And when Burn Notice came on, I was thrilled because I knew how long he had been waiting to get a show on TV, which is silly because we were both at the time like 30, 32 or something like that. Mm-hmm. So, when you're in your 30s, you think you've seen it all. And so the first season ran, and in the middle of it, he contacted me and he's like, hey, Penguin, which is the book publisher, wants to turn my TV show into a series of novels. Would you be interested in being the guy who writes them? And I'd never done that kind of work before in my life, but my brother had. My brother Lee, who had been a writer, producer on the TV show Monk, turned Monk, the television show, into books.
Okay.
And so I was like, well, let me talk to my brother and see, if he thinks this is something I can do. The thing was, at the time, Tim, is also I was sort of in a weird place with my career. I had already published at that point, I think 5 books. This was 2006 or 7. But I wasn't really a crime writer. I was writing more literary fiction. I had published 2 novels and 2 story collections, I think, at that point, something like that. And they'd done well. But I had come to the point where I was like, I'm not Jonathan Franzen, I'm not ever going to be like a top tier literary fiction writer. This is not who I am. But I think I could be a top tier crime writer. Mm-hmm. I feel like I could do that. And everything I'd ever written always had a guy with a gun in it. Anyway, I don't know why I was avoiding it. And I was always a huge fan of crime fiction. And so when Matt came to me and when Penguin came to me and offered me the chance to write Burn Notice, I was like, oh, wow, like I can change my career right now by writing Burn Notice. I can suddenly have a fandom behind me as I change my career. And so I agreed to write 3 of them. And then I enjoyed it so much, I agreed to write 2 more. And then they offered to let me write it forever. Wow. I could have just kept writing Burn Notice. I could still be writing Burn Notice. And it's a fun character to write, but he's not mine. I don't own him. I don't own Michael Weston.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do that. I felt like I had told 5 pretty good stories in the books that I had written, and I enjoyed writing Michael Weston. And the book sold tremendously well, and I got a nice, huge fan base, which was great. But I was ready to do something else. Because, when you write a franchise character like Michael Weston, he can't ever lose a finger, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Like he can't be irreparably damaged. He's always got to come back pretty much at the same speed in the next thing, unless you're rebooting like Bond or something like that.
Right.
And so I felt like, you know, there's only so many stories I could tell within the Burn Notice universe. But the weird thing is like, I hear his voice in my head all the time, so I can turn anything into a bomb. Like I'm looking right now, listeners, I'm looking in Tim's office, and he's got some wrestling belts behind him, and he looks like he's got some Clerks memorabilia, and he's got a lunchbox. And so in my Burn Notice head, I'm like, if you wanted to make a bomb using nothing but memorabilia, the first thing you need to do is start a fire. The gas from the melting plastic will knock your assailants out. Capture that gas. It's like, I know how to turn all that crap.
That is so perfect.
First person narration as Michael Weston.
Yeah.
And how to use like everyday items to make a bomb.
Yeah.
And I can't turn it off. Like every room that I look into, I'm like, if you want, when you're in a locked room and all you have is a halogen light, know that you have a potent weapon. It's like, because a halogen light is a potent weapon.
So Michael Weston ordering at an Italian restaurant.
Yeah. So that's always in my head. Like I can always hear him. Wow. And sometimes when I'm writing, I'm like, oh man, I gotta like the Michael Weston's coming out of me. Cause I wrote 5 of these books. But I really enjoyed writing Burn Notice. The funny thing, though, is like I watched the show, but then at some point I was too busy to keep up with the show. And so like they added characters that I wasn't really interested in. And so I had said to Matt, like, hey, man, I'm not gonna write about some of these characters because I'm not interested in Jesse. He was like, yeah, keep it evergreen. So that way it's always just the core characters that we knew episode 1, the mom, the brother, the various side characters. And Matt let me do whatever I wanted, which was great. Working with Matt and the whole Burn Notice team was a lot of fun. And I love that guy. He changed the course of my career.
I was going to say, you answered a kind of a crucial question I had there, and that is how tightly did you have to follow canon on the TV series? And that's good that you had an evergreen stance in which you took, because it is hard to follow television day in and day out and the changes they're making and the scripts that they're going with.
Yeah, and I would get the scripts before the season shot, because typically, even before they started shooting, they'd probably have 5 or 6 scripts in. And remember, Burn Notice was a standard cable show, so not like today where you're watching on Netflix and 8 episodes. Burn Notice was doing 16 episodes a season, so they had a lot of stuff, 16 to 20 episodes a season. So they had a lot of content they were doing. And so I'd get the scripts at the beginning of the season, and Matt would say, hey, don't do anything with Russian gangsters. So that's going to be our through line through the season. Like, cool. But then, they get in the writer's room and things change. So there was only one con that I used that they ended up using in the show too, because everything that I wrote belonged to the show. Yeah. And it was a con involving safe deposit boxes in banks, in old banks. And that was I think it was in my 3rd book or something like that. And they ended up using that same con in an episode later on. But it all belonged to Matt. He could use whatever he wanted. Yeah. And I was flattered. I was like, oh, they used my con. That's awesome. But I had a good relationship with the writer's room. I'd go in before the season and listen to them breaking the season. It was a cool experience, but I just done enough of it, Although this house that I live in, we have hardwood floors in it, and the hardwood floors were literally the floor's Burn Notice spot.
Oh, there you go. That's a nice memory.
Yeah, whenever I'm walking on our hardwood floors, I think, thank you, Michael Weston.
That's That's a nice memory and kind of a funny way to think of the house.
Well, I had another house that I lived in that was thanks to Miramax, and I didn't want to have to thank Harvey Weinstein anymore.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of awkward. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Harvey. No, thank you.
No, thank you, Harvey. Let me backtrack a little bit on you here, Todd. And I have a kind of an odd question for you. I know a lot of the settings, as you have so eloquently put it, have of your novels or books rather have gone around gangsters. And I have to know, and I ask this of a lot of crime authors who are on our program, have you ever gotten the little bit of the secret message from someone that says maybe you've gotten a little too close, or maybe you should maybe you shouldn't mention that in your next book, or maybe you're getting a little too hot to something and maybe you should back off?
Well, there are two things. When I was writing Burn Notice, in fact, let me try to say this as diplomatically as possible.
Sure.
There was a guy who was a consultant on Burn Notice.
Okay.
Who was like a Black Ops ex-CIA guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he was always available to me to talk things through, or if I had questions about stuff. And Matt used him a lot in the first couple of seasons, but he was not a wonderful person to talk to. And was like, you're writing about my life. And I'm like, man, I'm not writing about your life. Like, no, I'm making this stuff at home. Mm-hmm. And he would just get sort of belligerent about it. Be like, oh, I read your book and I'd never say something like this. You're getting this thing wrong and that thing wrong. And I'm like, dude, I asked for your advice, like on how to blow things up. I'm not writing your memoirs.
Right. Yeah.
But he's like, but anytime you start talking about this in relation to this, which was an actual real sort of thing that he'd been involved with, which was something in Iraq, something that had happened in Iraq. He's like, when you say those two words together with me, when people know that I'm that character, that puts heat on me. And I'm like, well, then don't be a consultant on Burn Notice. Like, why are you doing this job?
I wouldn't know who Michael Weston was based on if you had a gun to my head.
Well, he's not really based on this guy, but this guy thinks he is because he's always been the consultant. He was always the consultant.
Yeah,
on the show.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He had an elevated sense of himself.
I guess so. Yeah.
So there's that. As it relates to organized crime, I hear from gangsters of all stripes all the time. And it's never unfavorably. They love it. So I write about this gang in Chicago called the Gangster 26, which is a street gang, and they're based on an actual street gang in Chicago. Mm-hmm. And when Gangsterland came out, I got a flurry of like messages on Facebook and stuff from people whose names were like, Trigger Boy 9. And I was like, what is this? And it was like, oh, man, I saw you talking about our gang in the Chicago Reader, and I bought your book, and like, much respect, man. Like, you get us. And I'm like, this is not what I was. This is not what I was aiming for.
Literally, with Trigger Boy, you weren't aiming for that.
Yeah, and so I'd hear people like that. So that was always interesting. And then whenever I'm in Vegas, and so I lived in Vegas for a couple of years, which helped inform the writing of the Gangsterland books. But last time I was in Vegas, I did an event at the Mob Museum, and where I always do an event. The Mob Museum is great if you like museums dedicated to the worst people on the planet, which is what most museums are when you think about it. Like, it's dedicated to the victors of that last war. But I had a big crowd, and there was a guy sort of standing at the back the entire time, sort of watching me. And you get a vibe off of someone, and this guy was watching me really intently. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh, do I know this guy? Is this a friend of mine that I don't recognize? Is this someone I went to high school with? Which happens sometimes, where you're like, oh God, I forgot that I went to high school with you, Evan. And this guy walks up at the end, and he is getting his book signed. He says, hey, I heard you on I heard you on NPR this morning. And I was like, oh, yeah, I did local NPR. He's like, yeah, I was driving my kid to school and I heard you talking. And I like the way you talk about the things we do. And I was like, the things we do? Oh, okay.
Ooh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, thank you. He's like, yeah, you treat us with respect. It's like, it's a job, right? It's a job and we all do our job. And like, I'm not interested in civilians and civilians aren't interested in me. We're just do our job. I like the way you talked about that. And I was like, thank you. And I'm like, who do I make this out to? He's like, yeah, just make it up to Johnny D. I was like, or Johnny D.
Do you at that point comp the book?
Yeah, probably should. So things like that happen, but I hear from criminals or ex-criminals a lot. I guess my books are popular in the California penal system. so that's nice. I do have a friend. This is actually funny. I have a friend who used to rob banks. He's a writer now. His name is Joe Loya. He's a fantastic writer. Mm-hmm. So he's an essayist. He has a great podcast. He makes television shows. Fantastic guy. I just haven't come out and talked to my students, in fact. At any rate, I hadn't ever met him, but I'd been a big fan of his writing. And oftentimes when I teach, I would teach things that he had written about what it is to be a criminal, but specifically how criminals feel about crime. Okay. Fiction and films. And he had this great quote about how, we don't watch Shawshank and think that's realistic, but we watch Dead Man Walking and that seems true to us. And so I was like, oh, these are really interesting quotes. And so I'd used him over and over again and he had heard about it. And so one day he sent me an email that said, I heard you were talking about me, like it's a subject line. And I was like, okay, all right, just to be clear. I wasn't talking about
right, yeah.
It's a very complimentary email where he's like, hey man, I'm a big fan of yours, been reading your stuff for years. So I was like, oh God, thank God. And so I was gonna be up in the Bay Area and he's like, hey man, let's finally meet. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, let's meet. So I'm at a Starbucks in Walnut Creek, which is a tree dappled Pottery Barn city in Northern California. And he rolls up and he gets out of his car and he's a big dude. He's over 6'2". He's probably 3 bills. He's a big man.
Yeah.
And he walks in at Starbucks and he doesn't look like anyone in that Starbucks. And it like the ions again change. People are like looking at themselves like, who the fuck is this guy? And then he sits down and he's just the nicest guy. And, he's big and he's gregarious. But anyway, we're having this long conversation. We're probably sitting there for 2.5 hours just talking about everything. And I finally said to him, like, man, why are you a fan of what I write? Like, you were out there doing this stuff. I'm just making this stuff up. He's like, no. He's like, you and me, we think the same. I was like, I do not think the same way as you. He's like, no. He's like, there's a difference between you and me. I was like, what's the difference? And I'll use the kinder word. He's like, the difference between you and me is that you're a wimp.
Wow.
And I'm like, I am a wimp. He's like, see, I'm not. So when I have these thoughts, I act on them. He's like, sometimes you're in an elevator and you imagine smashing someone's face into the wall. When I was a young guy, I'd have that thought, I'd just do it. And I was like, whoa, that is the difference between the two of us.
Whoa.
He's like, but you understand the psychology. Like you and I, we think a lot of the same thoughts. And I was like, man, that is a really fascinating thing to hear. So I think that's part of why I've been successful as a crime novelist is that it's not just that I'm writing about good guys and bad guys. I'm writing about people who have compulsions and obsessions that make them do the worst thing possible. And I think all of us are capable of doing the worst thing possible at any given time.
That's very true. And you're absolutely right. If you can get inside the mind of your subject and you can turn around, you can put it on the page, you can release it, and the people who are in that mindset go, you know what? You nailed it. How did you know?
Right.
And they're in that audience and you're saying, you know what? You're authentic.
Right. And I don't know if that's from research or having a bad mind or from having empathy. You know, like I have a lot of empathy for people. Mm-hmm. Probably too much empathy for people. But I always want to understand the things people do and why. So, but this is true. Like you don't have to be a criminal for me to be interested in the things you do.
Right.
Like if you come into my house to fix my sink, bro, you got a day because I'm going to be interviewing you.
Yeah.
Like, how did you get into fixing sinks?
Yeah.
Can you fix toilets also? What's the hardest toilet you've ever had to fix? And people love to talk about themselves. People will reveal a lot about themselves if you just ask them a simple question, because they ache to tell the story of their lives.
Sure. And you know what? The other part of it too, and I think people don't give other people enough time to talk about themselves, because there are interesting things in everybody's story.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's just that we don't give each other enough time to tell each other our stories. You know?
Not everyone gets interviewed by Tim Dennis.
I don't think everybody wants to be interviewed by Tim Dennis.
This is the thing, Tim. You got to start a show where you just interview people that you meet on the street. Today on True Life Tuesday, I meet Bill.
There you go. And Bill talks to me about why he wants to know why Tommy Kramer has a Green Bay Packers urinal in his house.
That's meet the guy who services the soft drink machine at Arby's. I'm Jeff. I work on the soft serve machine.
That's right. Why can you never get an ice cream cone at McDonald's? We talked to Bill
exactly.
at McDonald's.
Why are they always out?
That's right. But he'll tell us why. We'll crack that mystery today on True Life Tuesday. That's what we're changing the show to now, is True Life Tuesday. It's all Tod Goldberg's fault.
I like it. Yeah. I get a cut.
You get a cut. That's right. You're 50% off the top, my friend. That's for sure. That's for sure. Now people are going to go, I hate the idea. What are you doing to this effing show?
Today we meet an accountant named Sue.
That's right. Sue tells you why she can tell when you're skimming off the top. Today on True Life Tuesday.
Let me tell you about my favorite 10 key. I bought it when I was 13. Okay.
I would sit there and hit those buttons forever and forever. The clack, clack, clack just put me into a coma.
I don't see how you don't make $1 million off this idea, Tim.
I do. I completely do see how I don't make $1 million off of it. I could develop the Dan Rather voice today. Today, Tod Goldberg on True Life Tuesday.
You're the Charles Peralta podcast.
That's right. We go into middle America where we discover why an automatic milking machine is a terrible idea.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's a podcast that'll absolutely miss. It'll be forced off of Apple Podcasts in 3 weeks.
I look forward to the open space so that my podcast can overtake you.
That's right. The podcast that anybody could beat.
Right.
It's
there's a great old comedy song called Irving, the 142nd fastest gun in the West. And it was it's off of an old comedy record called When You're Jewish, Everybody Loves You. And my mom and dad used to play it constantly. But it's the story of Irving, a Jewish gunslinger, and 141 were faster than he, but Irving was looking for 143.
God, that sounds like the story of my life.
See, that's what I thought.
Today on True Life Tuesday, the story of Earl, the guy who could only play a guitar solo on one string.
The missing Stinson.
Yes, the missing Stinson. He'll be playing the 7th Street Entry in Minneapolis this Sunday because he can't get a weekend gig.
Oh, God.
He'll be playing Sunday morning, the only time the 7th Street Entry's been open on a Sunday.
Now you've spun out.
Yeah, that's it. That's all I've got for True Life Tuesday. Yeah. Well, Tod, let's tell people again. It's the Low Desert is the name of the book, Gangster Stories. And again, we want to encourage people. You can pick it up, of course, on Amazon.com. And Audible now has it for free. If you've not tried Audible, if you do the Audible trial, you can get it for free. Johnny Heller is the narrator of the Audible version. It's a fascinating book, folks. I spent the weekend with it this past weekend, and it was a fascinating read. Again, they all have one common thread throughout these short stories, and we don't normally do crime fiction, but it's an exceptional book. It's a book that you want to pick up, and you can't put it down. It is one of those books that is a study in characters, and in good characters at that. And Tod himself is an exceptional author, so you do want to pick up that book. And once you pick it up, you won't put it down, or you won't want to. You won't want to put the dulcet tones of Johnny Heller out of your ear if you decide to do the audible.
He does have a dulcet tone to his voice. The one thing I always have to remind poor Johnny about, he goes back and forth with the pronunciation of one of my main characters, which is the Cupertine crime family.
Yes. Sometimes
he says Cupertine, sometimes he says Cupertine, and then he'll go story to story. I'll change it up every time. like. You've read like 4 books of mine. It's Cupertine.
Do you ever just send them the constant note? It's Cupertine with the spelling out the pronunciation.
I do, and we're friends. And I'm like, it's Cupertine. He's like, oh man, I get in the box, and I'm just reading, like, God.
That's
my life's work.
Yes.
That's my life's work.
This is my passion. What are you doing?
He is a great reader. So whenever I do a new book, one of the things is, the audio versions will come up with different audio publishers. And I say the same thing every time. I don't care what audio publisher it is. I want Johnny Heller. Like, I like having that one guy be the voice of my books.
Yep.
For Midwestern gangsters.
Yep. You know what? Just tell him this. It's as simple as this, Tod. Go, hey, listen, I'm going to start calling you Johnny Healer, all right? It's Cupertine.
You might start calling me Tod Goldberg.
Yeah.
In French.
That's right. I'm not French. It's not Goldberg. It's Cupertine. I'd
probably get less hate mail if people thought I was French.
Oh, come on now. I'm telling you, you're an exceptional author, my friend. And this book is I'm telling you, very, very good. It's more than very, very good. It's exceptional. I had a very good time reading this book, and I'm not just blowing smoke at you here, my friend. Thank you. This is a good book. So I encourage people to go out and get this book, The Low Desert Gangster Stories. Tod, I had such a good time talking to you, man. It was
lovely talking to you too. I'm free every Tuesday if you want to just show back up.
Absolutely, I would love to have you back on. Let's start this True
every
Life Tuesday
I'm just going to be here.
Yeah,
I'm just going to do it.
Good.
It's now True Crime Tuesdays with Tod and Tim.
It's not,
and then it'll just be True Crime Tuesdays with Tod, and then it's just Tuesdays with Tod.
It's Tuesdays with Tod, yeah, and then True Life Tuesdays with Tod. He's going to interview the plumber next week.
Soon people will be like, "Wasn't there another guy?" No.
Yeah. No. I don't know.
Never was.
No, it's just Tod. It's just True Life Tuesday with Tod, and
that's how it's always been.
This week it's the janitor at the elementary school, and he'll talk to you about how he gets gum off the desks. So that's what it is this week. Good luck to you guys. You're gonna love it.
Oh, God. Well, thanks, Tim. I had a great time. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Tod. It's time now, folks. We can't lighten it up any more than we've lightened it up. I think this has been a pretty light podcast, but we're going to get even sillier now. It's time now to bring in Beer City Bruiser. It's time now for Dumb Crimes and Stupid Criminals.
It's Crayon News story time.
What happened with this dude, Christ Bearer? I heard he cut his penis off and then jumped off a balcony.
Suspect pulls gun from butt, shoots twice at Denver police.
What is your emergency?
I need help.
And what's the problem?
I'm too high.
You're too high?
Yeah.
It's that time once again, kids. It's time for Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. And in with us right now, freshly in from the land of cheesesteaks and Rocky statues, it's the BCB, Beer City Bruiser. Hey, Bruiser.
Hello, Tim. And I'm so ashamed. I'm disappointed. Fans are going to be disappointed in me.
Why?
I didn't get a cheesesteak when I was in Philly.
No.
I tried my best, but they were running us around in a production truck because remember I told you this was being filmed. It was being filmed for a show coming on Apple TV.
Really?
Yeah. And when I get the dates for it, I'll let everybody know. But the PA was, because he had to shuttle all of us, and there was about 6 or 7 of us in the shuttle. And by the time the show got done, Tony Luke's was closed.
What?
I couldn't get my cheesesteak. So fans, you can send me the hate mail. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No. I tried.
You know what? It's on that. A good PA would have had them ready for you when you stepped in the vehicle.
Yeah, instead, they had vegan food for us. I said, who eats vegan? Yeah.
They even have a vegan restaurant in Philadelphia?
I had no idea where it came from, but I was just like...
Do you think...
I tried to get it.
Okay, so closed circuit to everybody who's listening right now, to our listeners. We're recording on the 4th of July. We're waving our flags. We're eating our hot dogs. Our forefathers didn't even know what vegan food was.
No, they didn't.
Where was there a vegan restaurant in Philly?
No idea. I asked the same thing, but you know what? I kind of liked it. I liked the vegan cupcakes were good. The vegan brownies were good. So I made do. I like yogurt now.
Let me. Well, yogurt is kind of good. Let me guess. It was Macklin. Macklin was the one who was the vegan, wasn't he?
No, he was one of the guys that was upset we couldn't go get cheesesteaks.
Really? Oh, okay. I like him even more now.
And it's within walking distance of where we were, but we didn't have the time because I don't know if anybody out there has ever filmed. Tim, you've obviously filmed TV shows.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a strict schedule they have to follow. It's called a shooting schedule.
And
so they have to follow that. So you literally only get a few minutes here or there to get away, and there wasn't enough time to walk, grab food, and come back. So
I don't want you to get all jealous on me, but I filmed in the same studio as Blue's Clues. Just saying. I know, all posh and Tony over here, and we had a chef that made us a little protein breakfast scramble if we wanted. So it was a little egg, little sausage deal, and it was in a nice little carton. It was no Tony Luke, but it was, it was.
Well, if you're in Philly, you got to have a cheesesteak. And I was upset. Yeah. Even when I got back to my hotel room, I tried to DoorDash a cheesesteak and just couldn't get it. Couldn't get Pat's or Geno's. Everybody was closed.
Man, that is upsetting. You know what? You remember you told us a story about the money in Canada, the loonies and the toonies?
Yes, I do remember telling that story.
Okay, I have a listener who actually got a hold of me by Messenger, who has a story about Canadian money.
Oh.
But it's a joke about Canadian money.
Because it's a plastic money. It's plastic monopoly money and then coins with loonies and toonies.
Oh, my God. It's so funny. You have to hear this joke. I'm trying to see if I can hook my phone up to my board real quick here and play it for you. And I might just play it over my microphone here. You're going to laugh. It's a coin joke.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready for this? And we'll play this again on tomorrow's show because it's... We told it on Darkness Radio, I believe, right?
Yeah, we did. So for the fans that are out there, it was a gentleman had found a paranormal. It was a coin with an alien head on it, and it's called a hobo coin, if I remember correctly.
Yes, a hobo. Yeah, a hobo coin, correct.
And I told the story about in Canada, their money, they don't have dollar bills; they have loonies and toonies. And so when I bought a beer, I handed them the plastic money, and the bartender handed me back, and I just held my hand out and said, "Take what you think is good for a tip, because I don't know what this is."
And didn't you tip like $3?
I tipped like $3 or $4, yeah.
I mean, that's pretty impressive. I mean, $3 or $4.
I mean, I tip. I always tip whenever I get a drink, because you always tip your bartenders. But when you're in a foreign country, you just don't know.
And Canada is pretty foreign. I get a lot of crap from Canadians for saying stuff like that. Okay, so you ready for this? I think I've got this hooked up now. So you ready? Here's the joke. Okay, so you got to imagine a coin with the queen on one side and the other part on the other. Okay, ready? Here we go.
Also, Tim, I have a joke for you. How do you make the queen orgasm? You flip her over in your rubber beaver.
See, because there's a beaver on the other side of the coin, right?
Yep, one has a goose and one has a beaver.
Yep, so there you go. That's your joke for the day on Canadian money. Okay, see, we're addressing all kinds of things without actually getting to dumb crimes, stupid criminals. Actually, before we get to dumb crimes, stupid criminals, I want to address a couple of stories that are in the news. Crime-like stories that are in the news before we get to dumb crimes, stupid criminals. Actually, just a dumb criminal in general, R. Kelly, which who he got since we've talked to you last, got 30 years Yeah, he got 30 years in the hole. Lizette was one of his victims. She's been on our show. She was on a few months ago. Yeah, we had her on talking about her book, about her experience with R. Kelly. Was actually at the sentencing, and she was quoted. I forget what her quote was. I was going to play her quote, but we ran out of time here. Now it turns out that R. Kelly has been put on suicide watch, and his lawyer is calling the treatment by the detention center purely punitive of R. Kelly.
Why do they think when you go to prison you get like this great like service? It's not like going to a 4-star hotel or 5-star hotel. It's not like you get room service. I mean, you're in prison. You broke the law.
Yeah. It's true. I mean, but I don't think R. Kelly, is, how should I put this? I don't think either R. Kelly should expect that people are going to be, putting him on their shoulders and what's the word?
Championing him?
Yes, around the prison either. R. Kelly has begun his 30-year prison sentence on suicide watch, and he's gone to court to change that. Jennifer Bongine, the lawyer for R. Kelly, or one of them, said the suicide watch at Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn has been imposed for purely punitive reasons. NBC News reports. MDC Brooklyn is being run like a gulag, said Bongine, or Bonjon. Who added that she spoke with the R&B star after sentencing on Wednesday on federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. He expressed that he was mentally fine, was behaving appropriately, and was eager to pursue his appeal, she said. Court documents obtained by People show that Kelly has sued MDC Brooklyn. The Bureau of Prisons declined to comment on Kelly's case. Bonjon, who said Kelly wouldn't hurt himself, said the treatment that violates his Eighth Amendment rights against cruel and unusual punishment. When they're on suicide watch, prisoners often have to wear a tear-resistant smock and are placed in a bare cell. They're subject to increased observation by guards. The court filing says they're not allowed to shower or shave and have to eat with their hands because their meals don't come with utensils. Ironically, individuals on suicide watch don't even receive psychiatric care, the complaint says. So I don't know. Do you think R. Kelly is being persecuted?
No, he's on suicide watch. So the prison's protecting themselves. They're following suit. Again, I've said this before. My father was a CO. He was a correctional officer. Mm-hmm. And he said the complaints people get, like, you get your 3 meals a day. You get your rec time. You get everything. When you're on suicide watch, they literally take everything away from you because anything can be used to harm yourself, and that's what they don't want to happen. As far as psychiatric help, I do know some prisons do offer psychiatric help, but you have to go through the suicide watch to get to that point. And nowadays, ever since the pandemic, I know psychiatrists are in high demand, and it takes forever to see one. So I'm sorry, R. Kelly, we're not doing the bougie federal Martha Stewart prison that you wanted.
Right. Yeah, we're not doing the country club. No.
Yeah, you broke the law. Very base. Sex trafficking is a serious offense. And with the amount of witnesses that came out against him, you don't go to prison on vacation. There's a reason they don't want you to break the law, because they don't want you to go to prison.
And is it possible, too, that maybe you were put on suicide watch for a couple different reasons? One, because you've displayed the behavior of maybe harming yourself or being in such a deep depression from being sentenced that they're worried about you, one. Or two, maybe since you've been sentenced, there's an immediate threat or danger that's being presented on your behalf or to your person by other people around you in your cell block. So rather than putting you in the hole, which is more of a punitive damage, they've decided to put you on suicide watch, which is a little more humane.
Exactly. When you're in the hole, it's 24 hours of in your cell. You do not leave your cell when you're in the hole. Suicide watch, at least you have sunlight. Guards check on you they have an hourly checklist, I think it is, or every half hour. I have to ask my dad, but it's one of the two. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, you still have human interaction, where when you're in the hole, you don't.
Yeah.
You're in the hole. Yeah.
Yeah.
They say protective custody, but it's the worst custody in the prison.
So I think he's, there's such a thing as a persecution complex. And I think R. Kelly is sitting on that right now because he's in denial. First of all, throughout that entire trial, if you look back at the entire trial, he didn't acknowledge the women that were testifying against him. One, he wouldn't look at them. He wouldn't acknowledge them when he was in the court. The fact of the matter is he thought he was being put upon the entire time he was there.
He thought he was the victim in this whole thing.
Yes.
He thought it was a conspiracy against him. No, you broke the law.
Well, and
you know what? You want to talk about our constitutional rights and stuff? Well, he had the constitutional right to have a fair trial with a jury of his peers, and they found him guilty.
Yep. So there you go. That's what it is.
Yep.
We go to Atlanta, where a lawyer who fatally shot his wife has a murder conviction overturned. Claude Tex MacGyver, not the guy from TV, but
that's a great name, Claude Tex MacGyver.
It is. Will get a new trial. The prominent Atlanta attorney convicted in 2018 of his wife's murder saw that conviction overturned by Georgia's highest court on Thursday. The state Supreme Court ruled that the jury would or should have been informed during the trial of Claude Tex MacGyver that they could consider the lesser charge of involuntary manslaughter and unanimously overturn MacGyver's felony murder conviction. MacGyver, who fatally shot his wife as she sat in the front passenger seat of a moving car in 2016, will get a new trial. His defense team plans to file a motion to see him released on bond. MacGyver has previously said he was asleep in the back seat with the gun in his lap and it went off accidentally when he was abruptly woken up.
Why are you falling asleep in the back of a car with a gun in your lap in the first place?
I don't know. That just sounds phallic in itself. The court found that the evidence presented to show MacGyver killed his wife purposely was disputed and circumstantial, and that based on the evidence presented, the jury could have concluded that the revolver was not deliberately or intentionally fired, but rather, as MacGyver suggested, discharged as a result of his being startled awake reflexively or involuntarily clutching at the bag holding the firearm and inadvertently contacting the trigger. Bruiser, let me ask you this. How many times have you been in the backseat of a car clutching your gun and just let that sucker go off?
Never. Never. And isn't there like a trigger guard on it? So you can't, not a trigger guard, but like loop is supposed to prevent that from happening, isn't it?
You should have the safety on at all times, one. Yeah. And two, even if it's not on, who sleeps with your finger on the trigger?
And I'm not a lawyer, but aren't most laws you're supposed to keep your gun locked in the trunk of the car while it's driving?
You're supposed to. You're supposed to have it secured in the trunk of the car. But although even if you have
conceal and carry, you have a holster. Why isn't it in its holster?
Well,
why is it in a bag? I'm just picturing him traveling with like a Walmart bag with a revolver in it.
Well, like shotguns and rifles, you have a carrying case or a bag. You could carry it in, but that's not the case here.
I know you have a bag. You can carry handguns in a bag too, but those are usually padded so they don't have accidental discharge.
Yeah. Curiouser and curiouser. So the court, boy, this gets messy here. MacGyver's attorneys agree, saying their client was deprived of a fair trial because the jury was not given the opportunity to find that the shooting was entirely the result of negligence as opposed to an intentional killing. The court also overturned his firearm possession conviction, but affirmed his influencing a witness conviction. So evidently he
tried to use some muscle to influence a witness.
I guess so. There's that as well. Interesting story also coming out of California this past week. A woman who killed her pimp when she was 16 was pardoned.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. That's good.
Sarah Cruzen was 13 when she was forced into prostitution in California. That California woman who was forced into prostitution when she was 13 was pardoned for killing her former pimp when she was 16 in a case widely seen as a miscarriage of justice. Sarah Cruzan was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole in 1995, the year after she shot George Gilbert Howard in a motel room. Former Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger commuted the sentence to life without the possibility of parole in 2011. In 2013, under former Governor Jerry Brown, the conviction was reduced from first-degree to second-degree murder, and Cruzan was released, having served 18 years. At her trial, Cruzan testified that another pimp had threatened to kill her if she hadn't killed Howard. Since the killing, Cruzan has transformed her life and dedicated herself to community service. Governor Gavin Newsom's office said in a statement per CNN, "This act for clemency for Ms. Cruzan does not minimize nor forgive her conduct or the harm it caused. It does recognize the work she's done since to transform herself." The governor's office said the pardon won't expunge the conviction, but it will remove counterproductive barriers to employment and public service and restores civic rights and responsibilities. Cruzan has said Howard started grooming her at age 11.
Oh, geez.
And sexually abused her before he became her pimp, forcing her to have sex with 11 men on her first night on the streets in Hollywood and Orange County.
Oh, geez.
At the age of 11.
She didn't even have a chance.
No.
Like, she had no chance.
None. Before a 2017 change in the law, California often considered trafficked children to be willing sex workers. And the state,
at 11?
At 11. And the state ignored the prison pipeline that locks up girls for being victims of abuse and trafficking. She notes that in the years after Cruzan was freed, background checks became a giant roadblock when she applied for jobs or tried to rent apartments.
Well, yeah, because you're technically a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And they don't want to hear your story. They just look at the paperwork.
Exactly. So she was just considered another prostitute.
Yeah. And considering, like I said, she never had a chance. From 11 on, she was groomed to be this prostitute. That's you're not even living life at 11.
No. Not at all.
You know?
Yep.
And then at 16, having to make that decision, hey, I'm going to kill you unless you kill this guy. This is not fair.
Yeah. Yep. And our last note from the week that we'll put out there before we get to Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, the founder of the Hells Angels died.
Yeah, Sonny passed away.
Yeah. Sonny Barger also worked security at the infamous Altamont concert, that one with the Rolling Stones, that was supposed to be the answer to Woodstock. That didn't quite go that way. Sonny Barger, the founder of the Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, who turned his experiences into books and work on TV and films, has died. He was 83 and died at home last Wednesday night after developing liver cancer. A note that Barger had written was posted on his Facebook page, and it said, quote, "I've lived a long and good life filled with adventure, and I've had the privilege of being part of an amazing club." It said, "Although I've had a public persona for decades, I've mostly enjoyed special time with my club brothers, my family, and my close friends." Barger, who founded the Oakland Club in 1957, was involved in one of the most notorious incidents in rock music history, the 1969 concert at Altamont Speedway in California. The Rolling Stones hired the gang as security. In the course of their duties, Hells Angels beat concertgoers, knocked out Marty Balin of Jefferson Airplane, and stabbed to death Meredith Hunter, an 18-year-old Stones fan who had a pistol. The gang member tried in the case was acquitted after arguing self-defense. The violence was preserved in the 1970 documentary Give Me Shelter. Although he was acquitted of various charges over the years, including murder, Barger was convicted of narcotics and weapons charges, spent a total of 13 years in prison. He became widely known after his inclusion in the nonfiction books by Hunter S. Thompson and Tom Wolfe. Barger wrote 6 books of his own and participated in documentaries about his organization. He also appeared in 3 episodes of the TV drama Sons of Anarchy. Barger argued the Hells Angels' outlaw reputation. He said, quote, "They say we're organized crime, but if you took every Hells Angel on the face of the earth and got rid of them, you wouldn't drop the crime rate in the world 1/10 of 1%. He said that in 2000. There's more cops committing crimes than the Hells Angels. That was his quote as well.
He, going along to Sons of Anarchy, not only did he star in it, but he was the inspiration behind it too.
Yep.
And he used to work with Kurt Sutter to make the club and the look and the patches and all that. He worked hand in hand to make it legitimate.
Yeah. Yep.
He told a funny story one time. I forget what celebrity was with him, but they went into a strip club, and he looked at the celebrity and goes, "Make sure as you walk in, you wave to the FBI, and everything you say, make sure you tell the FBI that you love them because they're listening."
It's an interesting.
That's a guy who lived a life, I tell you.
Yeah, well, that and then some. Let's get to dumb crime, stupid criminals. We'll start out slow. We'll end up fast. It's an interesting one today, Bruiser. A Virginia man accused of fatally shooting his ex-girlfriend's husband after trying to reconnect with her. Sometimes you just can't rekindle the romance.
No, you can't. Sometimes they just move on and get married.
Because sometimes there's somebody in the way, but you can always get rid of them, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, if they're reconnected with somebody else, you probably don't have a chance.
No, it's like one of those things where you see each other on Facebook. Hey, how are you? You know, I've always cared about you. Oh, I'm married. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll move on. Let's still be friends. Let's still talk.
Yeah.
And it's not, oh, who's your husband? Okay, I'm going to murder him. And then you're mine forever.
Then we can be together. An Arlington man allegedly shot his ex-girlfriend's nonprofit founder husband several times, killing him.
So he's a really, really good husband.
He's a great guy. She's like, no, I'm remarried. He's horrible. He runs a nonprofit.
He's just giving back to the community left and right.
Oh, according to
fantastic husband.
Yeah. According to Fairfax City Police on June 24th, officers responded to a shooting call at a home in Bolton Village Court and found Gret Glyer deceased in his bed from apparent gunshot wounds. On June 29th, Fairfax City Police announced they arrested 33-year-old Joshua Danehauer, who's known as the worst man on earth, in connection with Glyer's death. According to the statement, police allege Danehauer, who they identified as, again, the worst man on earth and an acquaintance of the family.
You got to be really bad if you're getting labeled the worst man on earth.
I just said that. Especially if the guy's established nonprofits to help the community, and you come along and
you are a low life.
Yeah. And then you come along and want to steal his girl, who they identified as an acquaintance of the family, entered the home and opened fire. Glyer's wife was asleep next to him when he was killed.
Oh.
But she and their children remained unharmed. Oh, what a saint. Danehauer was located June 28th by the Metropolitan Washington Airports Authority and Arlington Police Department at Dulles Airport, where he reportedly works. He's not too bright either.
Yeah, he's still got to go to work the next day.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
you got if he's got to see. Look, not only is he going to win over her by killing the husband, but he's also kind of becoming a stepfather. So you got to work those extra hours, man.
Yeah. Well,
you got three more mouths to feed.
Well, here's the deal. He can say, honey, here's the deal. I'll kill your husband and I could fly you all to Disney World afterwards.
Yes.
See, we can all go on a family trip.
It'll be a great time.
He was booked into the Fairfax County Jail on charges of second-degree murder and use of a firearm in commission of a felony. According to WTOP TV, The Top, court documents noted Danehauer had been regularly reaching out to the victim's wife, his ex-girlfriend, by the way, whom he wanted to reconnect with. Glyer was reportedly shot, by the way, 10 times. So he was a thorough guy, this Danehauer guy was.
Yeah, he wanted to make sure he was dead and not coming back.
Yep. WTOP, The Top, reports that Danehauer's bail hearing, at his bail hearing, he allegedly asked if he could order a pizza. Better get it.
You want that now, or you want that when you're in jail? Like, when are you going to eat this pizza?
I was going to say, you better get it in 30 minutes or less. It sounds like you're going to get a guilty verdict. The magistrate reportedly wrote on the bail form he was not taking the situation seriously in the slightest.
What's going to happen to me? Yeah. I'm fine. I just won this girl over. I'm a dad now.
That's right. I'm a dad now. I'm going to fly everybody to Disney World. We're going to have a great time.
We got free flights to Disney. I'm going to be dad of the year, husband of the year. Nonprofit who?
Nonprofit who? Dane Hauer's next court date is scheduled for August 16th, at which time he'll have plenty of pizzas ordered, I'm sure.
Did he get the pizza? That's what I want to know.
I don't think.
Did they allow him to order the pizza?
No, I don't think they did.
You don't think the judge went for that?
No.
You think he offered the judge a slice?
Maybe. I don't think it got him a pizza, though. Glyer founded Donor C, which is a nonprofit that donates money and creates videos showing the impact the donations had on a person or a group of people. So, yeah, so the scumbag killed a really great guy.
Yeah. The worst man on earth.
Worst man on earth. And he wanted food to be rewarded with.
You know what? He's probably one of those guys that ordered pineapple on his pizza, too.
You don't like pineapple on pizza?
No. I'm a no pineapple. I like pineapple, but I don't like cooked pineapple.
I saw the greatest meme last week online. It's a picture of a guy and his head being held up to a piece of pineapple. And it says, here's a real picture of the first Italian ever to be shown pineapple being put on a pizza. And he looks like he's in absolute horror and terror being shown that piece of pineapple. It was you had to be there. It was the funniest thing you've ever seen.
Yeah, I like pineapple, just don't like it cooked.
I do. You don't like pineapple steaks? Have you ever had pineapple steaks?
Nope, don't like those. Don't like pineapple on ham.
Oh my gosh.
Pineapple's not meant to be warm.
Oh, Bruiser, I love me some grilled pineapple. I'm not gonna lie. I know that's our dividing line right there.
You're the second worst man on the planet.
Oh, come on!
I kid. No. Yeah, no, I can't do it.
No? Huh,
no.
Okay.
If we go to a cookout, that's all you.
That's all me. I get all the pineapple.
You get all of it.
All right. Well, I'll take it.
The grilled pineapple. I'll eat the cold pineapple. It's a good anti-inflammatory.
Yes, it is. It is, and it's good for other things. But we'll leave that be.
Yes.
A man wearing a Morgan Wallen mugshot T-shirt gets posed for his own booking photo. In the irony of the week here on Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals, this kid looks clueless. I'm telling you, the lights aren't on. I'll show you here, Bruiser, in a minute. A New Hampshire man wearing a T-shirt bearing a mugshot of country singer Morgan Wallen posed for his own booking photo on Friday evening. 20-year-old. He's only 20, by the way. So
okay.
Kind of wet behind the ears. I believe the kid's name is Zachary Horn, was collared for underage possession of alcohol. There's irony for you. And booked into the Belknap County Jail in Laconia. Horn was wearing a T-shirt with Wallen's mugshot printed on the front. The country music star was arrested in May of 2020 for public intoxication and disorderly conduct following a disturbance at Kid Rock's big-ass honky-tonk rock and roll steakhouse there in Nashville, Tennessee.
I think it's great that the mugshot he's wearing is someone doing a crime that involved alcohol.
Oh, yeah. And they have the exact same look on their face. Prosecutors subsequently declined to pursue charges against the 29-year-old performer, Morgan Wallen, that is. The other kid, not so much. Shirts, hoodies, and socks containing the booking photo of Wallen, whose album Dangerous, the double album last year, sold more units than any other release, are widely available online. And evidently, this kid got a hold of one. Bruiser, say hello to the 20-year-old Zachary Horn, who has this look on his face as he's being booked.
Oh, yeah. You're right. It's a spitting image.
Yeah. So
I think you know what? Here's what I've learned from doing this show with you, Tim.
Yep.
I need to just carry funny shirts with me, and when I get arrested, if I ever get arrested, be like, hold on a second, I got to change my shirt.
I'm in a different town tonight. Let's see.
Because we had the other guy that got arrested for drugs that said something about drugs on his shirt. Remember that? That was last week, I think it was.
Yes. What was it? I
love drugs or something. Or yeah. I don't do drugs.
I don't do drugs, right? Yep.
Now here's this kid with a mugshot of somebody on his shirt while he gets his mugshot taken.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, I'm going to take that picture you just showed me, put that on a T-shirt, so that when I get my picture taken, it's a picture of my mugshot of wearing a shirt with that kid's mugshot while he wears a shirt of another guy's mugshot.
Oh my God, it's like this never-ending kaleidoscope of bad decisions.
And then I'll have mine mugshot printed out and put on T-shirts, and I'll sell it to criminals. It's just going to keep going.
It's
forever.
Wow. I don't even know what to think. You
can go to some websites and get like celebrity famous mugshots, like David Bowie's and Johnny Cash's and stuff. Like, I'm just going to create those all and print them all on T-shirts, and that's what I'm going to carry around with me.
Oh man. By the way, we have a whole section at the end of the show of have I told you this? We're recording this on the 4th of July. We've got bad 4th of July stupid crimes, dumb crimes.
Oh, those are great.
Yeah.
Lots of explosions and bodily harm.
I know I didn't tease it, but yes, we haven't taken the 4th off from dumb crimes, stupid criminals.
No. The 4th is great because you always tell kids not to play with fireworks and stuff. Yet let the drunk adults do it.
And they're out in force this 4th, and they're in Florida too.
Of course they are.
Yeah. So don't think that Florida man took the 4th off, because they did not.
No, that's like their national holiday, isn't it?
Their national, yes, it is. It's their national
I think it'd be July 4th and then St. Patrick's Day are the two holidays they love.
You know, I met a Minnesota man who's become a snowbird who spends more time in Florida now, than Minnesota, and we had an interesting conversation when it came to COVID. And I said to him, man from Florida now, Florida man, newly crowned Florida man. I said, did you know, and a lot of people don't know this, some people do, some don't, that now in Minnesota and in a lot of different states now, they're measuring the trends in COVID and whether, where we're at as a municipal area in COVID by the wastewater. The amount of COVID in wastewater.
Okay.
I got a stunned look.
Okay.
It's true. They, through your shit, they know exactly where you're at in COVID trends.
Okay.
Because he said to me,
I didn't know COVID shows up in your poo, but okay.
It does. It's actually easily spreadable through that.
Well, I'm glad I don't play in it.
Well, there you go. So you can see through, you can't see through it, but through waste management treatment plants, they take a sample through the wastewater of how much COVID bacterium is in it, and they can tell exactly where we're at as a community and where the trends are as far as how many parts per million as to give us an idea as to, how infected the community is or how bad the trend is.
Because not everybody's getting tested is basically the whole thing.
Yeah, not everybody's getting tested. Okay. So because this gentleman we were talking about the news in Florida versus the news here in Minnesota. He thought the news in Minnesota was probably overhyping the COVID threat, as it were. And I said, no, I think we do a pretty good job of reporting when it's severe and when it's not. And lately they've been talking about, how the COVID trend is down and how it's been down. But that, and they tell us though, when trends are coming in and when they're about to come in and how they know they're coming in, but they do a good job of keeping us informed.
Okay.
Just where these trends are coming from. But they also have been pretty good about telling us where where these trends are coming from. Are they coming over from Europe or are they, it's kind of like watching a weather forecast of COVID.
It's a weather forecast of poo.
Yes, exactly. And then so part of that,
it's a literal shitstorm.
Yes, there you go. You blew my punchline, but thank you for doing that. So
Yeah.
it was a literal shitstorm. So I'm looking at this gentleman, and he's looking at me. He looks at me and he tilts his head, kind of like a dog tilts your, and he goes, "You mean to tell me that they could tell that we all got COVID by our shit?" And I went, "Pretty much, yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I don't believe it." I said, "Well, good luck to you, because they can. I don't know what to tell you, but they can."
Florida, it doesn't exist in Florida. That's what I get.
That's what he said. That's what he said. He said the news doesn't talk about it in Florida. They just don't talk about
it. The pandemic. Yeah.
Yeah. He said it's non-existent. They don't talk about it at all.
Yeah, I remember traveling a lot. A lot of the guys that come from Florida, they're like, "We don't have any restrictions. We have nothing. The only restrictions ever like the government put on, not the local government, but the federal."
Yeah,
I was like, "You guys know it's a global pandemic,
right?"
They're like, "It's global except for Florida."
And I said, I just told him, I don't care how you treat it. I mean, and whether you think it's the common cold or whether you think it's going to kill everybody it ever hits,
it's still there.
It's still there. It's not going away.
Right.
I mean, you can sit there and deny it all you want, but they can trace it through your shit. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. There's your little nugget of knowledge for the day. I'm going to go grab a hamburger. How about you?
I like to use the word nugget of knowledge too.
Yeah, I did. Nugget of knowledge. So, yeah, that was my interesting little tidbit from my 4th of July celebration.
Thank you, Florida.
So that gives you an idea of how Florida's dealing with stuff like that. So if that's how they dealt with news about how the news deals with COVID, that tells you how they deal with the 4th of July. They're holding a firework in their hand and they don't believe it's sitting there.
Nope.
That's why there's no fingers left.
This firework can't hurt me. This firework can't hurt me at all. This ain't a real firework.
This here's one of them there cherry bombs. I bet you it's more cherry than bomb. Boom.
Hey, Cletus, I bet I can hold this cherry bomb longer than you can. No, you can't.
Now, with that being said, Bruiser, let me swing the pendulum of fairness back to my own backyard.
We're going up to Minnesota, huh?
Because I've been accused during the week of not being fair.
Yeah, but you don't really want your state represented on dumb crime, stupid criminals. Like, people got to get that.
It's too late. Somebody's already done that for me.
Okay.
Turns out a Minnesota man and a Minnesota woman have been arrested after 10 pounds of meth was allegedly delivered to a wrong address. It's real simple, people. You just transfer the address from one piece of paper to another.
Or you copy and paste in your
there you go
email.
One or the other. Bruiser's got it more accurately than I do. 2 people have been arrested after a significant amount of meth was reportedly sent to the wrong address. Of course, it had to happen in Sherburne County.
Hey there, you send that package there, hey? Sure did.
Sherburne County is the Pasco County of Minnesota. According to a news release from the Sherburne County Sheriff's Office, who couldn't stop laughing as they reported this, in late June, investigators learned the meth was mailed to an Elk River home. The person who received
Honey, your meth's here. I didn't order any meth.
Honey, did you order a huge boulder for the backyard? Well, no. Why is it blue? The person who received the meth by mistake brought it into the authorities.
Of course.
I don't know if that's the smartest move either, but okay, sure. Why not? You didn't do it.
Well, yeah, if you go in with it's still in the box with the packaging and stuff and be like, hey, this was delivered to me. I didn't order this. And Amazon doesn't do my returns for this.
This came from Cracker Barrel in the general store. So the person who was supposed to receive the box, 28-year-old Jessica Garrity, I believe.
She doesn't know how to party. She gets free 10 pounds of meth. What are you doing?
Is that something you get from Finger Hut? Because that's popular up there in Sherburne County.
That's actually the Beyond stuff in Bed Bath & Beyond.
Okay, I see. Had reportedly been contacting her building management about a missing package. frantically asking them about that missing package.
So wait, she was the one that was supposed to get it.
Yeah, she was. She was. I think it's safe to say she was tweaking and asking about that package.
Excuse me, have you seen a box about this big, this wide, weighs 10 pounds?
Smells like battery acid. According to WCCO, authorities replaced the 10 pounds of meth with salt and placed a GPS tracker and alarm system in the box to repackage and give it to building management for Garrity. Investigators reportedly witnessed Garrity picking up the package, and the box was later given to 24-year-old Ricardo Jarrett. I want to say Jamiroquai, but that would just be a nightmare.
Wow, Jamiroquai's fallen from the chart top and hit stopper he was.
Yeah, but it's Jamiroquai, I believe. Jamiroquai was reportedly arrested, and authorities searched Garrity's home. Garrity told officers Jamiroquai said he was between homes, probably because they just don't sound as well as they used to, and had asked her to accept the package for him. I wouldn't get caught with 10 pounds of meth either.
No, neither would I.
No. The two allegedly met on a dating site approximately a month prior. It was called toothlessandlovingit.com, I believe. Yeah.
Wait, yeah? Toothless and Loving It? So if I ever go Signal again.
There you go. During the search of her home, WCCO reported officers located marijuana in Garrity's room, so she had a good replacement?
Yeah. Well, you know what? She's an upstanding person. If after a month the guy says, "Hey, I'm getting a shipment of meth coming in. Can I have it shipped to you instead of my house?" Like, that's a third date thing, right?
I think it is. Yeah. First date is a gentle good night. Second date, maybe a kiss goodnight. Third date is, "Hey, can I ship my 10 pounds of meth to your house?"
Why didn't the drug dealer split it up? Like, that's costly. Like, they could have split it up to save on postage.
Industrial rates.
Yes.
That's why you don't do like the 2 pound overnight box, because that's like $27-$28. If you go industrial book rate, you can ship it all for like $10.
Okay. And do you think when the cops dropped it off to building management, they put their finger up to their lips and went, "Shh, this didn't come from us"?
Yeah.
Don't tell them.
Why doesn't it smell like battery acid? Because it's Morton salt. You can tell by the little girl with the umbrella on the front.
You can use it on your fries later.
Hey, how come I could dip my chips in it? According to the sheriff's office, Garrity and Jamiroquai, I'm not saying his real last name because I don't know how to pronounce it, were charged with first-degree possession of a controlled substance and scheduled to appear in court today. Yay! Happy 4th. So they can celebrate their 4th date by getting prosecuted together.
And then the 5th date's prison.
5th date is knocking over a jewelry store, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Bruiser, we've all had disputes with our neighbors, especially when they mow the lawn too early in the morning.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. What's the worst thing your neighbor's ever done that piss you off?
My current neighbors are fantastic people, so nothing.
Okay.
But I had an old neighbor. Actually, I had an old neighbor that would always knock on my door at random times, early in the morning, late at night. And she was on something. She had to be.
Yeah.
But she had a gray cat. And she'd always say that got out of her house. And she'd always ask for have you seen my gray cat? After about the 6th time, I just randomly made up places this gray cat could have went just because I was sick of her coming to my house. So I'd be like, "Go ahead, it's down there at the sit-go." So I'd watch her leave. Turns out...
You just sent her down to the sit-go. Did you give her a 10 spot to get you some beer while she was out?
No.
Okay.
So it turns out, my wife later found out, her boyfriend and her were having troubles, and anytime they'd argue, he'd randomly just let the cat out of the house so she'd leave.
Oh, that's a strategy. Not good or bad. It's a strategy.
Yeah. Well, why should it come bug me about where a cat is? I don't know.
Because you look like the cat wrangler. I don't know. Old cat daddy Bruiser next door will know where it is. No idea.
So yeah, that's probably the worst. That, and then the guy who raised roosters next door that crowed at the butt crack of dawn.
Oh, okay. That guy would be on my list.
Yeah.
That guy is the guy who probably would end up fatally shot in my book.
We just made sure we let him know every time we ate fried chicken.
Oh yeah. That's yeah. This story is a little bit of an overreaction.
Okay.
A landscaper was fatally shot in Washington, D.C. after grass clippings allegedly got blown onto a man's car.
Well, you just got it washed and wax. Keep those grass clippings away.
Yeah, a little tad bit over the line.
You and I were talking about off air about what we think needs to be done nowadays is people need to have conversations.
Yes.
Nowadays, everyone's always going to gunshots.
Right. It's like, you stepped on my tennis shoes. Let me grab my gat. There's never a, hey, why did you step on my toe? Was that a mistake? You want to apologize?
He could have walked over and tapped the guy on the shoulders and pointed to his ears so he removed his sound canceling headphones and said, hey, man. Brand new car, just got it washed and waxed. Don't blow the glass clippings that way.
Yeah.
Simple.
Exactly. A little talking.
Yeah. More talking, less shooting.
Exactly. Exactly. A 45-year-old man was fatally shot over the weekend after clippings from a recent landscaping job allegedly got on a man's car. On June 25th, the Metropolitan Police Department in Washington, D.C. tweeted that there was a shooting investigation on the 1700 block of West Virginia Avenue. The tweet said to look out for a black male with blue or green eyes wearing a light shirt who headed southbound on West Virginia Avenue on a green scooter. There's a hell of a getaway vehicle.
Slowest vehicle ever.
Right. At 4:47 p.m. on June 25th, members of the 5th District responded to the shooting call and found Jason Ford suffering from a gunshot wound. EMS arrived at the scene and discovered the victim displayed no signs consistent with life. That's one way of saying he was shot dead.
Yeah, I was going to say, why didn't they say they pronounced him dead on the site?
Yeah. Ford's body was transported to the office of the chief medical examiner. In an interview with NBC Washington, Ford's wife, Tanya Ford, said a driver allegedly became upset when grass clippings got on a shiny car. Huh.
Yeah.
What does that have to do with a guy on a scooter?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out, did the guy who shot him that's the getaway. That's the guy who shot him got away on the scooter, right?
Yeah.
So was it his car?
If it was, why did he make his getaway on a scooter?
That's where I'm at. I don't know.
Jason Ford was reportedly overseeing a crew performing yard work at the time. The owner of the car that had clippings on it was upset, and Ford reportedly apologized. Okay, end of story.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. We'll clean it up. Okay, you need more than that? Here's $20. Go get your car washed.
A friend of that owner allegedly drove up to Ford's truck and opened fire.
So it wasn't even the owner.
Wow. Striking him in the chest. Tanya Ford told NBC Washington this was not necessary. It did not have to happen like this. He apologized. We could have just moved on without this.
Yeah.
She said her husband died over somebody blowing grass and him apologizing.
And it wasn't even the owner of the car.
No.
I got you, man. I got your back. That's a nice ride, man.
He leaves behind his wife and 2 children.
It's sad.
It's ridiculous.
It's not even his car. I can understand if they blew grass on a scooter, because it would have tipped the scooter over. But, come on. It wasn't even your car.
It's out of control. All right. Well, some people take their passions a little too far.
Okay. Yeah, I agree.
with lately, it seems like Disney Plus is all the rage. People are getting a lot of their Star Wars fix. Some people are into it 24/7. Some people watch the new Obi-Wan Kenobi. Speaking of people who have a shit fit, some people watch the new Obi-Wan Kenobi miniseries and absolutely lost their shit.
Yeah, I heard about that. And I watched the series. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I did too. I liked it.
Plus it's make-believe, guys. It's not real. Star Wars is not real.
Yeah. And you know what? If you don't like it, just disregard it.
Yeah, and it takes place in a galaxy far, far away, so they don't have to follow all the norms that we have here on Earth. You know what I mean?
I love the fact that I just said, you don't like it, just disregard it. And then you take it like it's real life and you go, and you know what? It took place in a galaxy far, far away. You don't even have to look at it. It's far, far away. You don't even have to go there. You can stay here on Earth.
You have to stay here.
Just stay on our Earth. Don't go to that galaxy.
Yeah, stay away from Tatooine.
I love your logic, Bruiser.
Thank you.
That's great. I mean, sure, you can go to the theme park and go to their galaxy, but you don't have to. Orlando's a long way away.
I want to go there so bad.
Yeah,
I do.
Me too.
I really do. I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
Brian Malonis is there right now. I'm jealous.
Is he?
Yeah.
What's he doing?
He sent me a picture of him drinking blue milk, and I was mad.
You should be.
I am.
I mean, he's your tag team partner. He should take you.
Yeah.
Tag team partners go everywhere together.
And he didn't get upset about the Obi-Wan series. He loved it.
We'll see. If Malonis liked it, you all should like it.
Exactly. Everybody just like it.
Did you ask
him? If you don't like it, don't watch it.
You know what you should do? Text him back and say, how big were the blue tits that you were drinking out of? That's what I'd ask him.
I could, but he's with his wife. She might take offense to that.
Fine. He didn't bring you to Orlando. I wouldn't give a shit. I'd text him right now and say, how big were the blue tits that you were drinking out of? That's what I'd do. Anywho, so it makes me wonder if it was Malonis that got arrested in Disney.
Probably.
Man was accused of a Disney scheme. There's a Disney scheme now.
There's a scheme, huh?
Yeah, it involved an R2-D2 statue. Folks, don't go to Disney and steal stuff.
Yeah.
Especially the fixtures.
It's the happiest place on earth.
Well, it ain't happy if you're stealing the fixtures.
Yeah, you don't need to steal anything. No. And you know what? R2-D2 you can get almost anywhere. He's one of the most popular Star Wars characters.
They sell statues.
They sell. You can buy schematics to build your own.
Yeah, just do that.
Yeah.
Don't steal them.
No.
Authorities say David Proudfoot posed as Disney World worker and moved a droid replica. This guy looks like the human version of Shrek.
So why didn't he say he was the Shrek actor? He was on his day off.
He should have painted himself green and grabbed R2 from behind and looked like he was humping him and just disturbed the children. According to authorities, David Proudfoot posed as a worker at Disney World and moved a $10,000 replica of R2-D2 from its place at a Disney resort.
He just moved it? He didn't steal it?
Well, he was in the process of it.
I was going to say, do you think it was one of those things where he's like, I'm going to steal this? Oh my God, this is a fucking, let's move it 5 feet to the left.
He had a plan here, Bruiser. There's like a 50-point plan here. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
According to Proudfoot, he was just trying to do the park a favor.
Of course.
Fox 35 reports, and believe it or not, this guy is 44 years old.
Oh, God.
The 44-year-old Kissimmee resident was arrested on May 31st after deputies from the Orange County Sheriff's Office responded to a call at the Swan Reserve Hotel, where Disney security officers say they spotted Proudfoot pushing a cart around the property and became suspicious. Proudfoot, who deputies say was wearing a Disney name tag with David inscribed on it, he's quite brilliant.
He got it at the gift shop.
Yeah. Claimed he was an employee at another Disney hotel, the Yacht Club Resort. However, when one of the officers offered to help him with the cart, Proudfoot seemed confused as to where the loading docks were. And so they called the police.
Yeah, we just got to go over. Oh, no, they moved that one. Actually, it's over. Oh, no, they moved that one, too. I got it. Don't worry about it. I got it.
When deputies arrived, they say Proudfoot first told them his name was David Rogers and that they'd been asked to move items from one Disney location to another. His story started to unravel when a deputy brought him to the Yacht Club Resort to get his belongings, and he once more seemed confused and couldn't open his supposed employee locker. That's when the deputy said he noticed Proudfoot had a wallet on his person, which held an ID with his real name. He then admitted to moving the R2-D2 from the Swans Hotel third floor to an unknown location, as well as moving a game machine. Now he's just been caught.
I love that they didn't just bust him right away. They made him do this whole big gambit to prove that he's David. I mean, that's just the cop having fun.
Yeah.
And bravo, Mr. Policeman.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Well, they didn't have anything to do all day, so they just,
just followed him around the park while he walked around aimlessly.
Yep. So
and then took him to the hotel that nobody knew him at.
they did the so then where are we going now? Deal, and they're like, then we're gonna move this over to here. Okay, so we'll go with you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Proudfoot told authorities he had no plans to actually take the items off Disney property, and that his motives had been good. He had an application pending for a security guard position with the park, and so had wanted to show weaknesses in the security of the resorts. See, he was really just showing where Disney needed to improve.
He wanted to show how he's a security expert and that anybody can get a name tag and move R2-D2.
Yes. But when police carried out a search warrant at his home, they say they found Disney items worth thousands of dollars.
Oh, so he's done it before.
Yes, including a $700 gold necklace and several bathroom light fixtures.
Random.
Very. Proudfoot, ID'd by WDW News Today as a former school principal, once accused of stealing $15,000 from a Baltimore area school system, is now facing charges of third-degree grand theft and obstruction by false information, among others. He's being held by an $8,150 bond at the Orange County Jail. That's it for all that theft from Disney World.
Yeah, you'd think Disney would go after him.
But I guess not.
No, $8,150?
Yeah, that's it.
He stole more than that from the school system.
Yeah, well, that's in Baltimore, though.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, but that is David Proudfoot right there. Tell me he's not the human Shrek.
He's so Shrek.
Isn't he, though?
He just looks like a jolly guy.
He's like, I'm going to steal R2.
He does. He looks like hi, my name is Proudfoot. I'm going to steal something.
Come to daddy, R2. Come to daddy.
I need bathroom fixtures.
I need new lights in my home.
Donker.
Donkey. We'll stay in Florida. Boy, I tell you, some people fight fair and some people fight dirty.
Yeah, that's how it is.
In this
I had an old roommate who, every time we get in a fight, the first thing you do is kick the guy in the nuts. And somebody says, you can't do that. It's against the rules. He goes, it's a street fight. There's no rules. I can fight as dirty as I want. And he's right. There's no rules in a bar fight.
This woman fought really dirty.
How dirty?
So dirty you could say it was shitty.
Oh, great. COVID shit?
COVID shit. Oh, yeah. We'll stay in Florida for this one. This woman faces felonies over a waste attack.
W-A-S-T-E attack.
No.
W-A-I-S-T attack.
No,
right?
and you could tell what her COVID level was if you took one to the face.
She saw a monkey do it at the zoo. She figured it was great.
Hey, monkeys are good fighters. They're good fighters. A Florida woman is behind bars after striking a home health care nurse with a handheld urinal. A felony battery that left the victim soaked in bodily waste.
Oh, it was used.
Yeah.
Those are plastic, though. Or is she going with like the Stone Cold bedpan?
It might be the Stone Cold metal bedpan. I'm not sure.
Those hurt. I've been hit with that.
Have you?
Well, yeah, Stone Cold did it, so of course me and my brother had to do it.
No, the way Stone Cold did it is he kind of grazed McMahon over the top. He kind of did the circular
we didn't
motion.
do that.
Oh, no.
We hit each other.
You laid each other out, though, right?
Yeah. Yeah, my mother had a procedure done. We saw it and decided, hey, let's see how it feels.
How bad did it hurt?
It hurts. It hurt. You get ringing in your ears. You see stars. Yeah, it hurts.
Oh, so you got the concussion from it.
Might have.
I think you did. No, I think you did. That.
We made the pact, though, as brothers do. Only the top of the head, no face.
Oh.
So we'd hit each other on the top of the head with it. Each of us hit each other once, and then we both went after my sister, and she got away.
Of course. She's smarter than the both of you.
We saw it on TV.
So you had to do it. So here's the WWE saying, don't try this at home. And you two are like, hey, let's wind up and hit each other with a shitter.
This was in the 90s, man. This was before that.
Oh, my God.
So this lady, because nowadays they use the plastic ones.
Yeah.
I remember having my knee surgery, and
you
have to hold it and kind of put your wiener in there and fill it.
You put your wiener in it, man.
And I feel bad for the women, because when my wife had her hip surgery, she had to do it. And they have to, balance. Like, they can't balance, but they have to figure it out. Yeah, you can figure it out.
You got to aim the circle on the triangle.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Investigators say that 60-year-old Beth Redden got into a confrontation Monday afternoon with her 83-year-old male roommate inside their residence at the Teakwood Village Mobile Home Park in Largo, a Tampa suburb. Redden, according to an arrest affidavit, threw a metal cane and soda cans at Theodore Hamilton, who was struck but not injured. Redden tossed the items while nurse Joyce Lawrence was inside the home. When Lawrence sought to intervene, she was hit multiple times in the stomach region by Redden, who was also used the surname Monowney.
Monowney?
Yeah.
Okay.
As Lawrence sought to disengage, Redden was in arm's reach of a full plastic handle-held urinal, which was filled with the bodily fluid of Theodore Hamilton. God, that
wasn't even her urine. It was the guy's.
I feel like I should salute when I say that. Wasn't that a play by Lin-Manuel, what's his name?
Not Theodore, right? It was Alexander.
It was Alexander Hamilton, not Theodore?
I thought it was Alexander, yeah.
I'm joking.
Okay. I'm not. I think it was. It was Alexander Hamilton.
I feel like I should rap that. I got hit by a plastic handheld urinal that was filled with the pee of Hamilton. Redden allegedly threw the urinal at Lawrence, who was hit with the receptacle. The urinal's contents of urine flew out and soaked Lawrence. Oh.
Oh, so it bounced off the nurse. And so he got hit with his own pee.
Oh.
Yeah. You don't expect that to come back at you. That's why you don't pee in the wind.
No, wait a minute. It was Hamilton's piss. But Redden threw the urinal at Lawrence, who was hit with the receptacle. The urinal's contents soaked Lawrence, as well as the interior of the residence. Oh, it got all over.
Oh.
Reported Officer Stephanie Blitz. Lawrence was covered in a wet liquid when police arrived. Redden, oh, poor Redden. Look at her.
Yeah.
Oh, she looks like a hot mess. Was arrested on a pair of felony counts for allegedly battering victims age 65 or older, locked up in lieu of guess how much bond?
$1,000 for throwing urine on people.
That's it?
Well, the other guy got off with $81.50 for stealing all that stuff. I'd think throwing urine at somebody's less than stealing something.
It's $5,000.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Come on.
It's a biohazard.
Oh yeah, it is. You're right.
Although
you're right.
urine is sterile, but it's a biohazard. Redden has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Redden's rap sheet includes convictions for drunk driving, trespassing, and making a false report to law enforcement.
A winner all around.
Winner, urine dinner. Let's go to and this is our final two stories for the day. It's July 5th, but we're recording this on July 4th, our nation's birthday.
Yep.
God save the Queen or whatever.
Or just flip her over and rubber beaver.
That's right. Well, flip her over rubber beaver. That was our July 4th joke today. That's our Canadian coin joke. So here's the deal, folks. Just because it's a holiday, Florida man doesn't take the day off.
No.
Florida man set off a firework, lost his hand. It wouldn't be the 4th of July if it didn't happen. The Broward Sheriff's Office, Broward County, confirmed the Saturday morning incident. They didn't even wait for the 4th of July. They did this on Saturday.
Yeah. So that was Canada Day, right? No, Friday was. That was the 2nd.
Yeah.
That's just Florida Man Day.
It's just Florida Man Day. July 4th weekend seems to bring with it a great many fireworks and a few gruesome fireworks accidents. It wouldn't be a 4th of July weekend if it didn't happen. The first such accident of 2022 made national headlines, and it occurred right in South Florida, where the Broward Sheriff's Office says it responded to a call around 1 a.m. on Saturday. God love them. This according to Fox 35 Orlando. Local 10 reports that when first responders got to the home, they learned that the man, it says they learned the man, but not his detached hand, had been taken to the hospital.
They left his hand.
Somebody had to salute.
Cletus, where's your hand? I don't know. Just get me to the hospital.
It blew clear off and it made its escape.
It's up there in that tree and I can't get it.
That squirrel took it. Broward Sheriff's fire rescue crews transported said hand to the hospital, and the man was subsequently transferred to Broward Health Medical Center in Fort Lauderdale.
Do you think, I'm that EMT where I'd pick up the hand and just do like high fives and like shaking. Like I'd just be playing with it the whole time.
I do a Michael Jackson and grab my crotch with it. The facility was unable to reattach the hand.
Well, yeah, of course. If he got there beforehand, you got to put that on ice right away.
A friend of the victim tells Local 10 the accident happened rapidly. Well, there's no slow-mo blow-off.
It's not like it goes...
This isn't your iPhone. You can't film it in slow-mo and have it happen that way.
I hit slow-mo on my iPhone, and it still blew off like normal. I couldn't figure it out.
As soon as he lit it, it went off in flames. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says its records show 15,600 people went to the emergency room for fireworks-related injuries last year.
I believe it.
The most common...
And probably like 90% of them were Florida.
The most common injuries were to the hands and fingers, followed by ones to the head.
Yeah.
In 2021, if you don't remember this, an NHL goalie died in a 4th of July fireworks accident in the Detroit area. That's why the Red Wings didn't make the playoffs.
They were in grief. They were mourning.
That's right. Actually,
and they didn't want to win because they didn't want to have fireworks at the celebration. It's too soon. Too soon. Mattis, you remember his name? It was nobody remembers his name. It's an NHL goalie. People don't watch hockey. I watch hockey, but I don't remember his name.
I'm kidding. Mattis, is it Kivlenikis?
Why was he celebrating the 4th of July? He sounds foreign.
Wow.
He sounds Russian.
He's happy to be here. Well, he was. Man. How do you pronounce his last name? Kivlenieks?
Kivelinsky.
Well, no, but close enough. Died of chest trauma when he was hit by a fireworks mortar blast in Novi.
That's why you don't shoot Roman candles at each other.
That's right. Well, God love you. Maybe up in heaven, Jesus is teasing you with a Roman candle.
He just keeps shooting them and bringing them back.
Do you believe in me now, my son? No, I don't know. I just little Jesus joke there. All right, folks. And then finally today, on Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals. Today, Bruiser, I'll tell you, I always like on the 4th of July, I love a good hot dog. Love a good grilled hot dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Today, I had myself 3 good grilled hot dogs.
I had some brats.
Did you? Well, you're a Wisconsin guy, you know.
Yeah, but I'm in North Carolina. Not the same, but good.
Beer City Bruisers cooking up Johnsonville brats.
Yeah, that's exactly what we did.
We know that slogan very well.
And then when we get done here, I'm having some ribs.
Oh, don't tease me, son.
Yep. Wife slow cooking those ribs.
I did have some ribs from. I gotta give another shout out to my buddy, my boy over there in Anoka, over at Jelly Bean and Julia's.
Yeah. You were talking about him last couple times.
I had Bruiser on Saturday. I had some ribs and some brisket from Jelly Bean and Julia's. Slow cooked. I can't tell you. My weekend was complete. Tell you. But I had 3 hot dogs today. 4th of July. It's I don't eat hot dogs as much as I used to.
Yeah, I don't either.
But I do indulge on the 4th of July.
Yes, you definitely got to.
Yeah. This Floridian indulged in hot dogs on the 4th of July, but he also indulged in them as a weapon.
How do you weaponize a hot dog?
I'm about to tell you, my friend.
I'm so confused.
This is our last story on Dumb Crimes, Stupid Criminals today. A 47-year-old Floridian man was busted for battering a cop with a hot dog. He ignored the order to put the hot dog down.
It doesn't hurt him. Why are you doing this?
I can think of plenty of places you could shove a hot dog in order to assault a cop.
Cop versus hot dog. Cop's going to win.
That's right.
If I was the cop, I'd just take a bite out of it. What are you going to do now?
I bet the cop relished the opportunity to bust him. See what I did there?
I bet the cop was yelling at his partner, "Hey, catch up."
Oh, see? A Florida man is facing a felony battery charge for allegedly striking a cop with a thrown hot dog. Oh, he threw it at him.
Oh.
Investigators say that 47-year-old Jason Stoll was selling hot dogs on a downtown St. Petersburg street early Saturday when police gave him numerous warnings that he was in violation of a city ordinance. Stoll, however, ignored the warnings and continued to sell hot dogs in the roadway after the street closure permit ended.
This is America, damn it. I'm going to sell my hot dogs.
I'm going to sell my hot dog, Bobby. An officer noted in that arrest affidavit, the defendant was asked to put the hot dog down as he continued his attempt to sell it. Sir, you want to put that hot dog down?
Don't put the hot dog down. It's like me yelling at my puppy.
Yeah, poor Ziggy. Over there trying to sell a hot dog. You're like, put it down. Officer Anthony Bragano was the officer on the scene who told the defendant to put the hot dog down as he continued to attempt to sell it. When directed to drop the hot dog, Stoll reportedly became extremely upset and threw the item, which is not a sandwich, at a uniformed patrolman. The hot dog hit the cop, who was not injured by the airborne bun and beef.
Well, of course. Oh, he threw the bun, too. Good for him.
Yeah, the whole thing. Stoll was arrested for battery on a law enforcement officer. Felony, by the way. He was also charged with resisting, a misdemeanor, for allegedly struggling with cops as they sought to place him under arrest. Stoll was released from the county jail Saturday morning after posting how much in bail?
Well, if the lady for throwing pee was $5,000, I'm going to go with $3,000.
Ooh, you are close.
I see. Okay, I'm getting this Florida stuff.
$2,650.
Yeah, I was close.
For launching your wiener at a cop. Stoll lives about 40 miles from St. Petersburg in Newport Richey.
Of course he does.
Yep. Where he and his wife purchased a $230,000 home earlier this year. I want you to take a look at this man and tell me who you think he looks like. Ready?
Yep. Is that Killer Cross?
Yes! Killer Cross is launching his wiener at cops in Florida.
He lives in Florida too, I think.
I think so, yeah. So there you go.
Wow.
I'm of a mind. Makes a movie. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought the minute I saw his picture. I went, holy shit, Killer Cross is launching his wiener at cops. Yeah. So there you go. That's Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals post July 4th edition. Isn't that something?
That's great.
Yeah.
Those flying wieners everywhere.
Flying wieners everywhere. Yeah.
Cops getting hit in the face with wieners.
Yep. Well, they should make a meme, but they won't. So that'll do it, folks. I want to remind you to go out and get the book from our guest Tod Goldberg. Had a wonderful, wonderful conversation with Tod Goldberg. I'm telling you, Bruiser, we should bring Tod Goldberg in for Dumb Crime, Stupid Criminals someday.
Let's do it.
Tod is amazing. He's a funny guy, an amazing guy. Works with Brad Meltzer too, as well. Has written some books with Brad Meltzer as well. And folks, I want you to go out and get the book. And I had a good time reading it over the weekend, a collection of short stories. And it is crime fiction, by the way. It is not true crime, but that's okay. We're okay with crime fiction every once in a while.
That's how you get the good stuff, like Silence of the Lambs and all that good stuff. True.
But the book we're talking about here is The Low Desert. Tod Goldberg is the author. Go get it right now on Amazon.com. Also, if you have not subscribed to Audible, it's free right now. It's with your free trial. You get it for free on Audible if you've never signed up for Audible before. It's also narrated by Johnny Heller, the well-known voiceover artist. Johnny Heller does The Low Desert Gangster Stories, which is the name of the book that we were talking about today. Excellent book, and I'm gonna forward you over a copy so that you can read it, Bruiser, because I spent the weekend reading it, and it's really an exciting book.
Please do.
And it's kind of a study in characters 101.
Okay.
Type of deal.
I like that.
Yeah, it's a collection of short stories, and it's kind of funny the way Tod put it during the interview. I don't care what you do in your bathroom, is the way he put it when you're reading my book. It's literally one of those books where you can pick it up, you can read a short story while you're in the bathroom, put it down, and keep reading it, but read it from cover to cover. And it all winds these stories up to an eventual ending. They all fit together at the end.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's a really, really good book. So I encourage you guys to pick it up. The Low Desert Gangster Stories. It's Tod Goldberg. It's out now. And the Audible version is free if you haven't signed up for Audible already. So do that favor for us. Tomorrow, it's Supernatural News with Bruiser and myself. We will catch you tomorrow right here on Darkness Radio. And that'll do it for today. Thanks for joining us here on the best in True Crime Talk Radio. This has been True Crime Tuesday.